How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm back with another banger for you all. Huge shout out to XXUzumaki45XX for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. I'll admit it. Naruto turned to look at Sasuke with a surprised expression. I lost. Sasuke's eyes closed for the final time. Naruto knew what had happened, and just stared at Sasuke's unmoving corpse, with wide eyes. Sasuke! Naruto yelled. I am sorry, Naruto. I know he meant a lot to you. The Rikudo Sannin said, appearing out of nowhere. Rikudajiji. Please give me my right hand back, so that I may bring him back. I am sorry, but when I gave you both the seal of the sun and moon, I had lost the astronomical power within me, as it's not like any other sealing jutsu. It's a type of sealing jutsu that utilizes a part of my soul, and through the creation of all things I use that part of my soul split in half to create 2 seals with high concentration of yin and yang chakra infused with 6 paths senjutsu. I may have gained the seals back, but since I am merely a spirit, I am barely able to hold this conversation with you, as I am very close to disappearing back to the afterlife. Of course, if I wasn't merely a spirit, it would be a different story altogether. While I am able to restore your seal, you won't be able to use its powers for a while. I'd say years upon years. Plus, it is not able to revive those who have already passed. No way. Besides, you still have the power of the 6 paths within you, just not the seal that it comes with. Now, while I know this revelation is causing you much grief, I have an offer that you might be interested in. Of course, you are the only one I will allow to even be able to take this chance. Naruto gave no hesitation in answering. Hagoromo restored his arm, and Naruto saw that the seal of the sun had appeared. Yes, but what do you mean by disappearing? I still harbor the powers of the Rinnegan, Hagoromo said as he drew the 6 paths yin chakra from Sasuke's body and touched Naruto's left hand. If you touch my hands like we have before, I will be able to split what's left in half, and use that to send you with all the power I have left. This will result in my permanent disappearance in both spirit and physical matter. I understand. Naruto walked up to the sage and placed both palms on Hagoromo's palms. A glow emitted, showing the energy being split, and in that instant, Hagoromo had explained what was going to happen in the next world. Since Hagoromo knew what world he was sending him to, and what would transpire. After that, Naruto was enveloped in a shroud of light, before disappearing completely along with the sage. Naruto came to fruition, and the first things he saw were a bunch of weird-looking blue circles. Then, a blue bar asking for his name and some sort of passcode. However, it all disappeared and brought him straight to the town of beginnings. The words "Welcome to Sword Art Online" appeared in black with a gray background. What the heck is going on? This is all too strange, Naruto said. Everything has been made possible and unknown thanks to Hagoromo. When he lifted up his palms, he noticed that he didn't have the marks, just like the sage had told him. In order to not alert the owner of the advanced delusional world, I'll have to make it so that you gain your abilities as you progress. That way you don't seem like too much of an anomaly. He then noticed his vision completely filled with an extremely bright blue hue for a few seconds before it went away. He looked around with a flabbergasted look, then down at the palm of his hands. He then returned his Naruto gaze to his surroundings. Where am I? Naruto stepped forward and noticed more people appearing in a shine of blue one after another. He caught sight of strange things in his vision. What's this green bar, and why is my name plastered right next to it? Naruto thought as he tried to fling it away, bringing up his menu. He tried to swipe the menu away, and instead opened up another box. What is going on? This is weird. Is it genjutsu? Naruto thought as he was now looking as if he was trying to fling away a bunch of flies flying around him. Some people thought that Naruto had gone crazy. Some were laughing it off, as they assumed he was a noob, and proceeded to watch with interest. Others were beginning to walk away, fearing he might do something really insane. Hey, you alright there? Naruto turned around with his eyes bloodshot, and an insane expression on his face. Does it look like I am okay? Who are you? You must harbor the Sharingan to be able to cast a genjutsu I can't release. Whoa, dude, calm down, that's just your virtual reality user interface. Naruto took a moment, and looked inside his mind to his fellow Bijou for help. Yo guys, what is a virtual reality user interface? Naruto asked. However, he noticed that Kurama was not in his cage, and neither were all the Bijou he had come to obtain. TCH, looks like I gotta earn them back too. Sorry, but what is a virtual reality user interface? Naruto asked as the black-haired boy looked at him as if he had two heads. You're joking, right? Please tell me you are joking. No, now what is this hollow fragment user interface? Kirito sighed. Well, first it's just what displays the important things that you need in any VMORC. Seriously, are you new at this? First, what do you mean by display? What is a VMORC? And what I mean by display is that it shows information about your avatar, skills, stats, as well as touch-activated settings that allow you to equip weapon and other things. Without the help of the menu we might as well give up trying to clear this game. Also, a VMORG stands for Virtual Reality Mass Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Game. Did you get any of what I just said? Naruto assumed a composed thinking position, with his hand resting under his chin. So basically, these things in my face are just menus of some sort, and we are in some kind of game. Like actually in the game itself? Wow, you make it sound like you were a Neanderthal where you came from? How have you not heard of virtual reality? Well, where I am from, we never had technology quite advanced as this. Kirito nodded. I rest my case. Naruto chose to ignore his remark. You said avatar earlier, right? So this body I am in, isn't actually my body? Well, you would know, and only you since you created the character. Makes sense, so how do you play this game? Kirito scratched the back of his head while looking off to the side with a sour look on his face. He sighed once more, but this time gave Naruto a smile. I'll give you a few tips, come follow me. Okay, so basically to activate a sword skill, it all depends on your first action. If you get your first action right and activate a sword skill, the system will correct your aim and ensure a hit. Action. How should I put it? Pause for a second, and once the skill activates, just let it rip. Let it rip? Naruto mused as he positioned his kunai above his shoulder, and it started to glow blue. He burst forward leaving gusts of wind in his wake while Kirito's eyebrow raised. Wah! All Kirito could see as he turned was rising blue polygons. He's super fast. Is this really his first time in a VMORC? If anything, he had to have those skills transferred. I have to say, you definitely didn't give off the impression of having that kind of speed. Oh, thanks? By the way, my name's Naruto Uzumaki, what's yours? Kirito, just Kirito. It's obviously my player name. It's rare for people to have a last name in a game like this. Hey, you guys over there! Kirito and Naruto turned to see a man with red hair and a bandana running towards them. They both exchanged a look as they watched the man catching his breath. You guys look like you know what you are doing. Any chance you guys could help me out with the basics? Naruto gestured to Kirito. You'll find everything you need with him. I'm a beginner myself, so we can consider ourselves sibling disciples. Please take care of us, Kirito-sensei. You sure are a handful, Naruto. Yash! Naruto, Kirito, my name is Klein, thank you for your help. Klein said as he clapped his hands together and bowed. It's fine, it's just the basics. We're heading over to the next area. Let's go. Thanks guys for the help, but as much as I'd like to continue I ordered a pizza at 5:30 from Piping. I am starving. Of course, eating food in this world only tricks you into thinking you are hungry. Well, thanks. I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys from now on. If you have any questions, feel free to message me whenever. Yeah, I'll be counting on it. Klein gave a wave of goodbye before proceeding to open his menu in order to log out. Huh! Kirito and Naruto turned to see that Klein was frozen staring at his menu. There's no logout button. Take another look, Kirito suggested. Yeah, I can't find it anywhere. Naruto flipped through his menu, still trying to get used to this. He noticed he didn't even have a logout bar, something that didn't surprise him all that much. I technically don't exist in this game. At the bottom of the main menu, Kirito said as he opened his menu to find the same blank option where there was supposed to be the word logout. They discussed the possibilities of what to do and what the situation was. All of a sudden the bell back at the Town of Beginnings began to ring. They all turned in the direction of the ringing bells. I've got a bad feeling about this, Naruto thought. All of a sudden, a bright, white light blinded them as they were transported back to the town of beginnings. Everyone had teleported back to the town of beginnings. Naruto looked around and couldn't find Kirito or Klein. So, he just waited for the chatter to die down. Naruto looked up and noticed the strange red light in the sky before anyone else had noticed. The red began to spread until it covered the whole virtual sky. System announcement. Naruto thought, reading the first polygon that appeared. Red goo started to ooze out of the edges of the tessellated shapes, coming together to form a single hooded being. Welcome players to my world, my world. Kirito, though, as his eyes widened at his realization. My name is Akihiko Kayaba, and I have an announcement to make. As you all may have noticed, there is no logout button. This is not a glitch in the game. I repeat, this is not a glitch. This is part of the game. Get trapped and survive the 100 floors. Otherwise, you die in this game and in real life. So, yeah, good luck. Oh, and for all you guys playing as girls, I have a gift for you all. Look in your inventory. Well, once again, good luck to you all, Kayaba said. Naruto felt that Kayaba was somehow staring at him, even though he didn't have eyes. Naruto could tell that he found it odd, that he was standing there, as if he wasn't supposed to be there to begin with. Then, he seemingly evaporated back into the sky, disappearing, at the same time the sky returning to normal. It was silent, while everyone stared in horror at the revelation that was just revealed to them. Then, everyone started to panic, yelling curses and shouting like it was going to help the situation, which it didn't. Naruto caught sight of Kirito, who looked different, as well as Klein, and they began to head out. Looks like this is where we part ways, guys. You guys better survive. I've had enough of my friends dying, Naruto thought as he also started running. Unbeknownst to Naruto or Kirito, they both encountered a wolf in their path, and both let out a roar before charging at the wolf, taking it out in one hit. I'm going to survive until the end, Naruto thought. Going to survive until the end, Kirito thought. 1 month has passed since the game started, and during that time, 2,000 people died. However, not one person has cleared the first floor. Not even Kirito was able to reach the boss room, and he told me he's what people here call a beta tester. Pretty important, I guess. In that month I have reached level 17. The norm for everyone's level from what I can tell is 12, except for someone like Kirito, who's probably a level below me. At LVL 10, I unlocked the base Taijutsu skill, which had no skill slots. Just pure free-for-all barrages of fists and kicks. It seems I won't be able to unlock the base chakra skill until I am LVL 20. However, I only have 10 skill slots that branch off from this base skill. Then comes Shikaku, the first bijou I can acquire at LVL 35. Until I have all 9 bijous, I cannot unlock 6 paths mode. Seems like I have got a long way to go if I want to get my powers back. Naruto looked up at the people gathered in one area, surrounding a fountain. But today, a boss conference for the first floor boss will be held. Listen up! I'll be starting the conference now. A man with blue hair in the center of the ring shouted. Looks like everyone is here, but I am surprised to see that Kirito isn't, Naruto thought as he took a seat. Thank you, everyone, for responding to my invitation. My name's Diabel, and my class is, informally, a knight. Everyone began to laugh at Diabel. There's no system class, you know. Knight, he says. Is this meeting a joke, too? Diabel closed his eyes, and opened them with a glint of seriousness in his eyes. Today, on the highest level of this floor, my party found the boss room. Seriously? Everyone exclaimed in surprise. By defeating the floor boss and reaching the second floor, we'll be able to show everyone in Starting Town that this death game can be cleared. It's our responsibility to do so. Don't you agree, everyone? Everyone looked at each other seriously, nodding at each other. Then, they all started clapping and whistling. Naruto just had a smile on his face. Okay, I'll explain our battle strategy, but first we must assemble into parties of 6. At this, Naruto paled and noted that he didn't know anyone here. They all began to group together, talking to each other. The floor boss can't be defeated with simple parties. We'll need to assemble into multiple parties to form a raid group. Looking at Naruto now, he was left out completely. No one even bothered to ask him to be a part of their group. He frantically looked around until he caught sight of a person with a hood. He disappeared and in an instant appeared right next to her sitting. He looked at her expectantly, but found that she was not responding to him. Reason being, he moved so stealthily that she couldn't notice his presence. So, he decided to get her attention the normal way. Hello there, Naruto said. The person jumped away, immediately pulling her rapier out, aiming it at Naruto. How'd you get there? Sorry, I was just wondering if you'd like to form a party, since everyone seemed to have left me out of it. Naruto's eyebrow twitched while his hands shook with sweat dripping from his palms. Just this once? She nodded slightly. Thanks a lot. Naruto replied, which made the person turn around. Hey, I sent you the invite. I hope you don't mind being in a party. I could tell you probably wanted to be solo. As Naruto was talking, he was looking off into the distance, but when he turned his head to face her, he noticed she was gone. Well, good talk then. Naruto was walking around when he spotted his party member sitting at a bench eating a piece of bread. He decided to check up on her before heading out to pull an all-nighter grinding. He sat by her and she noticed this, but had no outward reaction. This is awkward. Anyway, I hope you have a good night. Be prepared for Tamo. Wait. She said all of a sudden, which caused him to turn around. Huh? You sat down just to say goodbye? Well, I just wanted to get to know you since it would ease the tension, you know? Tension? Why yeah. Naruto never cringed harder in his life. I just figured it would help with our teamwork. Naruto shook his head and sported his usual grin. So, what made you start playing this game? Naruto's sweat dropped. Naruto changed his posture and stared up at the sky with a straight face. I'm not sure you could call it a reason, but as for me, I've decided to start fresh. Asuna turned to him. Start fresh? Naruto nodded. I lost someone important to me, and ever since then I've decided to start a new journey and find a new purpose. Of course I will eventually return, but his disappearance really took a toll on me, so that's why I'm here. There was a comfortable silence that fell between the two. I'm sorry. Naruto shook his head. It's nothing too worrying. Just gotta keep moving forward, because that's my ninja way. Huh? She asked. Naruto deadpanned as he cringed once again. Crap, force of habit. I don't have a particular reason. But I used my brother's nerve gear since he's away at the time. I'm not as seriously as invested as you, but with what's happened. Naruto nodded. Yeah, this game becoming what it is now. It's honestly not something I wasn't expecting. What do you mean? Nothing too important. Anyway, you can't be satisfied with that stale piece of bread, can you? They talked on and on all night, before they agreed to part ways and head to their respective inns. Well, that's true for Asuna, but as for Naruto, that was a different story. Okay, I must reach LVL 20 before we reach the boss room. Which should take me all night. Yash, I am ready to do this. As he appeared at a grassy clearing, he saw a bunch of tigers spawning and lurking around. Naruto opened his inventory and equipped his kunai. At speeds that future Asuna couldn't hope to match, Naruto slashed all tigers once, draining their health points to red. However, before the damage could even register in the animals' minds, they disappeared into hundreds of minuscule-sized blue polygons. He had about 43,756 experience points to gain in order to get to level 20. After killing about 10 tigers, he only gained about 689 experience points. Looks like I'll have to go to that dungeon, Naruto thought, as he remembered how he got his level so high. Flashback. As Naruto was walking in the woods, trying to find the boss room, he came upon a clearing that led to a cave. He was surprised, as he hoped he had found the boss's dungeon. He went inside, and after seeing how hard it was to kill the first wave of monsters, he immediately ran out. What the heck, that has got to be the boss's dungeon. After some prep grinding, Naruto tried once again to get past the first wave. When he got there, he was able to slay the first of the wave of orcs. However, when he got to the orcs, he encountered the same situation as before. So, he opted to going back to grinding the orcs. He continued this process, noting that each time he retired from grinding in the oddly vacant dungeon, he got away with around 200,000 EXP. I've got to make sure to come back if need be. Flashback end. Today's the day that I clear that damn dungeon. It's time to reach LVL 20. Naruto was currently lying down exhausted after having gone through the whole dungeon, or so he thought. I didn't think it'd be so tough. Nonetheless, I made it through. Ha ha ha! I did it! Just then he got up and dodged a swing of a sword that came from a cave troll. Man, I don't have time to deal with you. I am worn out, Naruto said as he did a 5-hit combo, effectively destroying the troll. However, he knows that staying here will just cause more to come his way, so he decided it was best to move deeper into the dungeon. Naruto turned and started running down a long pathway, when he noticed a large door. No way. This whole time the boss door was right here. This whole time I could have cleared floor 1. Gah, I am such an idiot. I'll just take it easy, no need to worry about finding the boss today and the next 2 weeks either. Stupid! Stupid! He ceased his mental rambling and sported a serious expression. At my current level, I doubt I will be able to solo this boss. Yash! I will reach level 25 and attempt to solo this boss. Kate Koi. The sun started to rise, and Asuna was slowly waking from her slumber. She was unable to take a bath, which didn't matter, but just the fact bothered her. She just decided to eat another one of the steaming bowls of ramen the boy she met yesterday had given her. Everyone met at the same floor, and began to head to the forest, after they all met at the discussed time. That's weird. He was supposed to be here by now. Rasengan! Naruto roared as he landed the final hit on Ilfong. After that, the whole area lost its color, and the light faded away. Naruto immediately fell on his back with a bit of health left, leaving him barely clinging on to the virtual life with his health in the red. Note to self, never solo a boss unless you are 20 levels above it. That sure was a close call. If I hadn't unlocked Rasengan at the last second, I would have been a goner. Flashback. As Naruto destroyed the last sentinel, he reached level 30, and he received a skill with all the list of his basic, base, or low-level jutsus, including the Rasengan. Missing the ability to conjure up his chakra condensed ball, he was about to fill the skills slot when Ilfong swung his sword, almost cleaving Naruto in half. Crap! Naruto thought as half of his full health had been drained to the red zone. Not wanting to lose his chance at a new life, he ran away from the sprinting Ilfong, and filled his skills slot with Rasengan. He turned around, closing his menu, conjured up a Rasengan, hitting Ilfong straight in the gut, blasting the Kobold Lord into smithereens of blue. Flashback end. Yash! Minna! I have just one thing to say, let's win. Here we go! Diabel said as he opened up the door to the first boss. When they got inside, they all noticed a man sitting in the center of the room, with a plain white coat. Naruto turned around and noticed everyone charged at him with a battle cry. What are they doing? Naruto thought as he got up immediately, and put his hands up. I don't know how, but there's a weird sentinel among them, yelled a random player. Wait, what are you guys talking about? Naruto shouted, tilting his head with his arms crossed and a puzzled expression resting on his face. For our freedom. Ag. Wait. Asuna interjected as she sped in front of everyone with her hand held up. What do you want? Why are you defending the enemy? He's part of my party. His name is Naruto, and he was here at the meeting yesterday. What she said, come on guys, you gotta listen to me, Naruto added. Then, how come we didn't see you at the meeting, huh? That's because I'm a shinobi. Cough cough asterisk. If she didn't step in, I was going to so thank you for that. Since I was looking at everyone, I noticed his mop of blonde spiky hair. He passes as a player, though I would agree he is no normal player. How were you able to solo the boss? Diavel asked with a frown. Hey now, don't you see that I am about to die? I'm not as overpowered as everyone thinks I am, Naruto attempted to reason. You still defeated the boss. That would have taken all of us to do together. There's no way you are around the levels of 12 or 13. Kiba shouted. He must be a beta tester, stealing all the glory and EXP. She's probably a beta tester too. There are others here too, aren't there? Another random player shouted. Yeah. Come on out. Just then, Naruto began to laugh like some insane psychopath. He stood up and looked at everyone. Beta tester? Please, I am not even one, and I am already better than the best beta tester out there. He even admitted on the first day that I was extraordinarily skilled. However, I should warn you that I am now level 30, and I could probably solo the next boss, and the bosses after that. The cycle continues, don't compare me to all those other newbies. Naruto said as he began to walk away. Then, you're even worse than a beta tester. You're a cheater. That's right. He's a beater. Call me whatever you like, I could care less. Naruto replied. Asuna had caught up to Naruto and pulled on his sleeve. I never got around to ask, but what is your name? Huh? You mean you can't see it? Naruto asked as he pointed at where the names should be. Naruto? Naruto chuckled. You remind me of when I first came here. She pouted. What's that supposed to mean? Don't worry about it. So your name's Asuna? Asuna took off her hood and nodded. Yeah, that's me. Naruto had an owlish look. So, why are you leaving? Trying to play the part of the villain? It's better this way. I solidified my decision as soon as you were suspected of being a beta tester. I don't want offensive comments being hurled at someone as innocent as you. Besides, this is my choice. Well, this is my choice, and I am choosing to follow you all the way to the end of this game, Asuna replied. Asuna-chan. Asuna just looked at him with a serious expression. Yosh! Let's go to floor 2 then. Asuna just nodded and they both walked through the portal. When they walked through, a forest of leafless trees is what they encountered first. There was already a dirt path leading to another town. So Asuna took the lead with Naruto trudging behind her drinking a health potion. Asuna turned around and forgot that Naruto almost died soloing the boss. She ran back and was at his side immediately. Gomen! I totally forgot about your condition. Asuna apologized. It's okay. I'd be more concerned about what is in front of us, Naruto said as a ferocious howl from approaching monsters echoed throughout the dead forest. What appeared before them were a pack of abnormally huge wolves that were at a much higher level than that of the wolves on floor 1. Dire wolves were all level 2 to 3. All of them are level 9. The alpha is the same level, but I think he has higher stats than the rest. Most likely gives more experience and call, too. Asuna, stay close to me. I got the alpha, Naruto asked. Yeah, just be careful, okay? Don't worry, Naruto said as he winked at Asuna, causing her to flush profusely. Just then, Naruto had picked up Asuna bridal style and saved them both from fangs to the head. I think you're the one who needs to be careful, haha, Naruto chuckled. Mao. Asuna pouted with her face completely red. Naruto put her down and equipped his kunai, while Asuna pulled out her starter rapier. Naruto charged at the alpha with Asuna following suit. The betas got in his way however and Asuna was planning to take care of this. Naruto had kicked one to the side, and followed up with a punch to another wolf. He noticed that everything around him started to get darker. He spun around and lifted his kunai up in defense of the oncoming threat. Naruto's kunai had clashed with the alpha's huge talon-like claw. He flung it away and did a taijutsu barrage to it. Konoha Reppu! Naruto yelled as he did a low sweep, and literally shattered the wolf's front legs. Next he followed up with a head attack. Konoha Senpu! Naruto again yelled as he smashed the wolf's head, following up with a slash to its side with his kunai, effectively draining it of all of its health. He looked over at Asuna who was having some trouble, and was finishing off the last one, when another wolf was coming up behind her. Naruto's eyes widened before he instantly rushed over to her position, readying his kunai, activating a sword skill, and throwing the kunai at the beast at point-blank range. The beta took a direct hit to its head and shattered afterwards. Asuna had just finished off the one in front of her, with her fast rapid attacks, and noticed the rising blue polygons behind her. She smiled at Naruto. Thank you, it seems I really do need to be careful, Naruto-kun, Asuna said sheepishly. Oh. Be more careful next time, Asuna-chan. I almost lost you, Naruto exclaimed in reply. Asuna immediately sported a huge, noticeable blush, and had quietly muttered something. I'm sorry, and, thank you for worrying about and protecting me, she said as she held her left arm with her right in shame. Don't worry about it, Naruto assured her with a toothy smile. Now let's go get better weapons and armor. Naruto and Asuna walked out of a weapons and armor shop, with completely different gear. Naruto's coat now looked quite similar to his father's. Naruto had worn under his white coat with red flames on the bottom, his original jumpsuit he made from buying orange and black leather. He also bought a weapons pouch somewhat similar to his shinobi pouch except that it was much larger, and farmed an abundance of shadow iron golems, supplying him with the necessary metals to provide a blacksmith with. He requested somewhere from 300 to 400 shuriken and 100 kunai. However, he had something planned concerning his deadly weapons. Currency in this virtual world was very different from his homelands. He had a plethora of leftover coal, and put his sewing skill to use once more, making his nostalgic shinobi headband. To say Naruto was still rich in coal was on point. Thanks to all the laborious grinding and farming he went through, he had attained an abnormal amount of kernel. If every coal was worth $1, Naruto would be pretty close to a billionaire altogether. Asuna was a different ballgame. She had only bought another hood to replace the one she lost during the fight with the wolves. She did buy a new rapier that had much more promising stats than her starter rapier. Besides that, she hadn't really changed all that much. Naruto looked at her and sweat dropped. Why didn't you bother with something different to wear? Naruto asked curiously. Asuna just looked at Naruto before attempting to stifle a laugh. Naruto was clueless as to why she was laughing. Asuna pointed to Naruto, and fell to the ground laughing uncontrollably. What are you wearing, Naruto-kun? Ha. Asuna laughed hysterically. Naruto's eyebrow twitched in annoyance. Oi, quit laughing! This is a warrior's outfit! Naruto shouted as he stormed off. Warrior's outfit, he says. Ha. Wait up, Naruto-kun! No! Naruto-kun Taba! Find yourself a new partner! You can't be serious! I was only joking. Naruto and Asuna were standing on a hill, taking in the scenery. The sun was starting to set, and was indescribably mesmerizing to the human eye. Naruto had his eyes closed, and was trying to see if he could gather sage chakra. He wasn't surprised at all when he wasn't able to do so. Actually, he wondered if he could even gather any at all. This place didn't seem all that natural, at least not when you take a closer look. So, it might prove useless, however, he would burn that bridge when he gets to it. Or was it cross? Who knows? Naruto thought. Asuna ikuzo, Naruto said serenely. Right. Asuna was wanting to spend some quality time with Naruto, but it would seem that he had other plans. Just going to have to be patient, she thought. She was broken out of her thoughts when she saw a bunch of human-sized cobras slithering their way toward them. Naruto had appeared in front of her, and kicked one of the reptilian monstrosities in the jaw area. He avoided the clamping of a cobra's fang strike, and equipping his kunai, sliced its head off, causing it to disperse into shards of blue. Not wanting to be upstaged, Asuna pulled out her new rapier, and did her lightning speed combo on the cobra that Naruto kicked, draining it of about 3/4 of its health. She stepped back and activated another sword skill, landing the finishing blow. She was about to move on to the next one, when she noticed that Naruto had been laying on his back, messing with butterflies. No sign of snakes anywhere. Asuna's eyebrow twitched before she decided to play a prank on the preoccupied shinobi. She started to inch her way towards him, but he saw her coming from a mile away and tripped her. What resulted would end in both not speaking to each other for the whole night. Asuna was straddling Naruto, while Naruto was unintentionally groping, not one, but both of Asuna's breasts. Asuna took notice of the position they were in, and where Naruto's hands were at. Most would expect her to slap Naruto across the field, like she would have in another universe. She simply got up, pushed him off screaming pervert, and sprinted away in embarrassment. Wait, it's not what you think. I didn't mean for us to end up. Naruto had his hand outstretched, and his expression was frozen with hysterical disbelief. Naruto, without looking, uppercut a cobra that was approaching him from behind, sending it flying straight into the air. He equipped his kunai and threw it straight at the descending snake's head. It shattered before it could reach the ground. "Take that!" Naruto yelled. The kunai fell and hit him on the head comically. "Gah! Son of a..." Naruto yelled, more irritated than hurt. He regained his bearings after a long outburst of rather interesting and explicit words. Naruto decided to think about how he would apologize to Asuna. After thinking it over a bit, he finally came to a decision. He went after Asuna, as if he never did anything wrong at all. Which was not his intention. Asuna POV. Asuna had just left the grassy field and ran away when she came upon another town. She hesitated, looking back, but ultimately decided that she should just stay at this town for the night. What just happened? Asuna thought to herself. Was that all a part of his plan? No. He's not like that. I'm sure it was all a mistake. Asuna looked around and saw that there was an unusually large amount of people at this town. Men old enough to have gray long beards. All seemed to have congregated together for drinks and stories of gallantry. Young teenage boys and girls all trading, and talking about who's the best at what. It was definitely lively, and Asuna had started gaining attention, especially from all the boys. So, she turned and left immediately to find a place to stay for one night. Reason being, her hood was down due to her sprinting like her life depended on it. She wasn't watching where she was going, and she had bumped into someone. Oof. Eep. Asuna fell on her back while whoever she bumped into just hunched over. I'm so sorry, I should have been watching where I was going, Asuna said with embarrassment. She lifted her head up to see who she had rudely bumped into. A boy that looked to be about her age. He had neat black hair with bangs that cover his forehead. He also had black eyes and fairly pale skin. He was wearing a black coat that he wore over his starter outfit that everyone had back at floor 1A/N. Coat of midnight. It's okay, it tends to happen when you're stuck in a game of life and death. Sometimes, even I space out, he replied. Before Asuna could reply, they both heard everyone she was trying to avoid give a shout of triumph and determination. Seems they are all ready to go. We just got here too. They must want to really get out of here quick. What are you talking about? Asuna asked curiously and confusedly. That lively group is what you could call the unofficial front lines. Everyone is gearing up to find the floor boss. So far, we don't have a clue where the boss might be. Although, considering what happened at floor 1, who knows, right? Right. Azure replied while remembering a certain blonde who had completely soloed the boss, not knowing the boy in front of her was sharing the same thoughts. Even if he didn't know that it was Naruto in particular that had went ahead and annihilated the boss. Naruto POV. Naruto had no trouble finding where Asuna had gone off to. He could have gone straight into the town she was settling at and apologized then. Maybe if he was still on the same level of foolishness and naivety as he was when he was 12, he would have stormed after her immediately. However, after everything that had happened in the war, he had matured somewhat. War, I wonder how things would have been had Sasuke survived the fight. Naruto thought deeply. Right now, he was sitting on a tree branch in a meditative position and he had a good view of the town Asuna was in. He figured she would want a night to herself. Considering he pretty much violated her. Which is why he didn't go and apologize to her immediately. Naruto was thinking about what he could do with the free time he had right now. Well, it was more along the lines of running through the benefits he would reap from the grinding and farming he would do. Next up on the list of skills, my favorite jutsu. It's been too long. Naruto thought excitedly as he dropped down from the tree. Naruto landed swiftly and started to scout the area for any dungeons he could use to grind in. He was still at level 30 and wanted to retrieve his skills back. So far, he only had the Taijutsu skill, Chakra skill that had one of the 10 skill slots occupied by his Rasengan. It looked like he had to wait until he reached level 40 to unlock his next skill. Which would make sense, considering he had to wait 10 levels to unlock Rasengan. Looks like I got a whole lot of work to do. Let's see how far I get in one night. Asuna POV. So, are you part of the front lines? Asuna asked after the short silence. More or less. I'm a solo player helping out with the offense. It seems most of them just run out praying they get a few lucky hits. There are some that know what they are doing, however, Kirito said. Would you happen to be one of those people? Well, would I be overconfident in my abilities if I said I was? Good point. Everyone a part of the rowdy group began to make their way out of the town. Kirito noticed and was making his way to follow them. He left not before waving goodbye to Asuna first. Kirito had already caught up to the rest of the group. I never got his name. Oh well. Asuna thought as she resumed her search for a nice, comfy place to rest at for the night. She had eventually found an inn after going to places she thought were most likely intended for people to stay at. Once she was inside, she immediately started looking around in awe at how everything seemed to be so old-fashioned. Even if it was auto-generated and not actually built by someone, it was still a job well done. There were many paintings of random things ranging from cruise ships to toast and butter. Okay. Asuna thought, a bit weirded out by the paintings. If only she knew the NPCs were just as weird. A prime example would be one of the employees crouching with his 2 feet planted on the counter that was most certainly not a rug. Even for an NPC, most would consider that to be a bug on the spot. Considering how most of them definitely do not act this way. However, other than that, it performs its services as it was designed to. Asuna had walked up to the virtual man, when she started to get a weird feeling. She looked to her right, which would be where the hallway that lead to different rooms was located. Weird, it felt like someone was staring obsessively at me. Asuna thought a bit uneasy. As she turned her head back to the man in front of her, she failed to notice the boy that had popped his head around the corner. He was another NPC that looked to be and was programmed to be a boy that was 13 years old. He had a creepy look on his face that one would see on someone who hadn't eaten in 2 or 3 weeks. Asuna felt the urge to turn once again, and she did. What she saw was the empty hallway with no suspicious adolescent boy peeking at her like a pervert. Asuna was beginning to get suspicious as she hasn't even requested a room yet. After forming a plan, she turned back to the man to continue her business. As soon as the boy popped out again, she immediately turned her head and scared off the boy who ran screaming. Now, since that is over with, I should hurry up and get a room. However, she was in for more, as there were still more weirdos in this place. An old lady of about 70 years of age came out from the room behind the front counter, and had a straight face. When she saw Asuna, she started pointing and laughing at her quietly. He. Eventually, the old lady began to laugh as if the best comedian in the world told her one of his or her best jokes. She had wide eyes and was now laughing hysterically. Asuna began to think the lady had issues. Not only that, but the little boy from earlier was back and creepier than ever. To top it off, another girl had just barged in, about the same age as Asuna. What was supposed to be weird about her was that she looked as if she was in some kind of punk metal screamo concert. Basically, rocking her head back and forth as if she was listening to just that. Asuna thought with unbelieving, wide eyes. Asuna began to back away slowly, inching her way closer and closer to the door. Once her hand was on the door, she immediately stormed out of the place. Okay, good work, people. However, Dan, why do you have to put your feet on the counter? Couldn't you have thought of something else? The old lady asked sternly. Sorry, mother, but it was all I could think of on the spot, the man at the crouching on the counter replied. Before she could scold the rest, they heard approaching voices and footsteps. Quick, everyone to your positions. Everyone nodded and immediately got into their designated positions. I feel like I forgot to make some last-minute changes with the game. Oh well, Kayaba said as he continued observing the players. Naruto POV. 30. Wow, this is going much better than I expected. Naruto exclaimed happily. Naruto has just defeated 30 of the same storm wolves that had attacked him and Asuna back near the portal. On floor 1, dire wolves gave around 80 to 110 experience. The storm wolves on floor 2 gave 170 to 200 experience points. Meaning by killing 5 wolves, the max amount of experience points a player can receive is 1,000. At level 29, Naruto's experience cap was 30,450 experience points. Now his max is at 31,500, meaning that after each level up, the cap is raised by 1,050 experience points. Which was the cap for level 1. Right now, Kirito is at level 21, while most players are around levels 15 to 17. Naruto did not want to fall behind, so he was planning on grinding heavily on this lonely night. When Naruto started his hunt for experience and call, it was 5:30 or 17:30 in the evening. Now, it was 6:30 or 18:30. He had already slayed 55 storm wolves, 30 super cobras, 25 fire cheetahs, and 15 tree trolls. Naruto had gained 40,775 experience in that 1 hour. Evidently, he had reached level 32. He had only 3 more levels until he retrieved his first bijus since he had lost them all. Naruto was laying on his back huffing and puffing after a long non-stop grinding session. On another note, he was not bound by skill stats. For example, if his strength stat was at 50, his actual strength would probably be around 175 to 200, possibly higher. Same situation with all his other skills such as agility and dexterity. However, this would also prove to be problematic concerning keeping his real identity secret. So, he was not surprised when he was checking his stats, and found reasonable numbers for his skill stats at certain levels. I'm only on floor 2, yet I am so exhausted from all this work. This is definitely not something I am looking forward to. Then again, what I just did can't be considered normal, Naruto thought absent-mindedly. After sitting up, he gazed at the sky for a while, until he finally noticed something. Where is the moon? Naruto asked himself. He had a perplexed look on his face, and thought it weird that the moon was all of a sudden non-existent. He was brought out of his confusion thanks to the low growls, groans, hisses, and snarls that were coming from near the trees. Well, back to grinding. Naruto thought lazily as blue polygons began to rise a second later. After about half an hour, Naruto had obliterated 44 monsters total. He still had a bit of experience to cover before he got to level 32 though. I'll just take a small break before I continue. He started running towards a fairly large hill. Jumping from tree to tree, he finally made it to the base of the hill. Wonder what the view is like? Naruto thought curiously. When he was at the top, he sighed contentedly as he closed his eyes, lifting up both arms to his side. He took in a deep breath, and exhaled before he just let loose and fell on his back. I feel as if I could just fall asleep. After a few seconds, Naruto immediately stood up and flared his chakra. That was enough to not only wake him, but also enough to make him feel as if he could conjure up a giant Rasengan. Well, that sure was relaxing, but I've got some leveling up to do, Naruto said energetically. Using his chakra, he jumped at high speeds, and embarked on another long period of continuous massacre. Kirito POV. Kirito and the rest of the front lines were currently fending off against storm wolves and super cobras. It was agreed that all players were at least level 17, if not a higher level. Hence the reason why everyone is only dealing with storm wolves and super cobras if need be. Kirito was currently up against a super cobra. After positioning his sword in order to activate a sword skill, he dashed forward and delivered 2 hits. One being the sword skill vertical, and the other sword skill being a horizontal. That resulted in its defeat. However, another one was rushing straight for him, head-on. Waiting in order to time his attack right and not miss, he finally took action and executed a vertical arc. Soon after that, he used the skill once again, and the cobra burst into shards of blue. He surveyed his surroundings cautiously, and after noticing that there were no more threats, sighed and proceeded to sheath his sword. Once everyone had cleared the area, they all gathered in the middle. Kirito, however, decided it was best to hang out in his own little area. Which is what he usually does. He couldn't get his mind off who it was that had taken down Ilfong all by themselves. Who and where are you? Kirito thought irritatedly. As if to answer his question, he heard a loud sound that sounded a bit like a sonic boom. Although, nothing compared to an actual sonic boom. He turned to his right, and noticed that there was smoke dispersing on a hill not too far away. That's weird. Everyone else had also heard the sound, and began to look at each other confusedly, as if someone had an answer to what that sound was. After a while, they eventually decided that it was best to check it out. Kirito also followed, hoping he would soon find answers to his questions. Asuna POV. Asuna had finally managed to find a normal inn, where the employees did not squat on the counters, or laugh like a maniac. She was laying in a bed staring at the ceiling. Her thoughts were revolving around Naruto, and how things would be if they were to meet up again. She had thought that he would follow her and apologize immediately if he managed to find her. However, there's no sign of him anywhere. Just great, I just had to go and sneak up on him. What was I thinking? Asuna thought, frustrated. I just hope it really was an accident. Well, even if it wasn't, I have to see him again tomorrow, and make sure that we can clear up this misunderstanding, Asuna said to herself. She began to get sleepy. Her eyes became too heavy for her to keep open. Eventually she fell into a deep sleep. Naruto POV. Finally! I reached level 33. That sure took a while, Naruto said to himself. Naruto was down on one knee, breathing heavily. He stood up, attempting to catch his breath. Well, might as well find a place to sleep for tonight. Maybe I'll stay in that town Asuna was at. I wonder if she'll even want to talk to me anymore. Naruto thought, a bit saddened at that thought. Naruto was brought out of his depressed thoughts when he sensed players were nearby. That was mainly because he heard the distinctive sound of metal clashing with metal. He would have to level up his chakra skill to be able to sense others. When he spotted the players, he was surprised to see that Kirito was with them. Where have you been all this time? Naruto wondered. He was debating whether or not it was a good idea to approach him, and any of the other players that were currently in a battle with monsters. So, he just waited to see what would happen next. Once everyone had cleared the field of monsters, they all continued to move towards the mountain Naruto had just left. Oh crap! I should have known that jump would have attracted attention. What a stealthy ninja I am! Naruto thought. Deciding it was best not to confront them, he started making his way for the town. Asuna POV. Asuna opened her eyes, instantly shutting them from the bright sunlight that shined on her face. Getting up from bed, she put on her hooded cloak, and left immediately. Asuna was walking around town, and finally gathered the courage to talk to Naruto. After making her way out of the safe zone, she suddenly stopped. If only I knew where exactly he was, Asuna thought as she sweat dropped. She traveled back to the same place she had stormed off before, but he was not there. Soothing winds blew Asuna's hair as she stood, wondering where Naruto could have gone off to. Hey you! Some strange lewd voice shouted out of nowhere. Asuna turned around, and she was met with 5 teenage boys that had an evil and perverted look on their faces. Realizing the situation she was in, Asuna began to get worried and scared for her safety. For one, she doesn't know how high of a level these players are, and they outnumber her 5 to 1. So, she can only hope to escape their clutches. Why don't you come hang out with us? One of the teens said rather aggressively, advancing forward to grab Asuna. No! Asuna yelled, slapping his hand away and running hastily for town. Thanks to Asuna's speed, she was able to keep her distance away for quite a while. She almost made it past the safe zone, when another teen had emerged from her intended destination, and grabbed both her wrists in a harmful manner. Where do you think you're going, huh? It's not polite to run away when people invite you to spend time with them. One of the boys running towards Asuna shouted suddenly. Yeah, just be an obedient little girl, and we won't have to hurt you. Asuna was struggling to free herself from the boy gripping her wrists harshly. No matter what she did, she was not going to be able to get out of the situation she was in. What's going to happen to me? Am I really going to get fapped here and now? This can't be happening. Asuna thought as she shook with terror in her heart. A crowd began to gather around them as Asuna was about to be sexually assaulted, yet no one did a single thing. Even if someone was brave enough to do something, they would have a hard time, seeing as more players came by and were blocking the disgusted spectators from interfering. Someone! Help me! Naruto-kun! Asuna thought, panic-struck. Now why? Suddenly, the boy that was gripping Asuna, and the other teen that was coming closer to her were all blown away. Yuwag! Ak! Everyone was shocked to see that someone had not only saved Asuna, but have also managed to do it without them being able to even see him. Whoa, did you see that? One of the onlookers exclaimed. Yeah, I couldn't even see him. He must be really strong. Asuna opened her eyes, as she had them shut before she was saved, and saw Naruto standing there with an angry expression. And Naruto? Asuna asked desperately. Naruto's expression softened to a more calm and collected one, as he made his way to Asuna. Are you okay? Naruto asked in a concerned tone. Asuna could only nod, glad that Naruto had come to her aid, just as she hoped. Hey! Who do you think you are? One of the boys that got blown away asked furiously. Naruto turned his head towards the boy and his group. The ruthless infuriation was clearly shown on his face. He focused killer intent on all of the hopeless teens, which caused all of them to cower, and others to completely faint. Naruto had walked up to them, picked up one of the players by their collar, and looked him straight in the eye. If I ever see you around her again, you'll pay dearly for it, Naruto threatened. While Naruto wanted so badly to punish them, ever since he had his heart cleared of hatred, he was never able to hate again. No matter how angry he got. So, evidently, he was not going to kill these cowards. However, that doesn't mean he won't tell them a thing or two. Naruto released his suffocating killer intent, and turned around to check up on Asuna. When he did, all the foolish teenage boys nodded to each other before getting up and charging at Naruto. No one orders us around, especially someone like you. One of them shouted with immense rage. When one of them had swung their sword on Naruto, he dodged so quickly that he left behind an afterimage. A second later, they all fell to the ground unconscious. Everyone gasped at this, and murmurs of amazement could be heard throughout the crowd. Just who is this guy? He seems a bit familiar. Either way, I'm glad he's not like them. Otherwise, we'd be having problems. Hey, he's that guy who defeated the first floor boss all by himself. Seriously? No way. As everyone made comments at what had just occurred, Naruto made his way toward Asuna. Hey! Naruto said awkwardly. Naruto, that was amazing! Asuna yelled, completely forgetting what had happened between them. Well, I didn't want you to get hurt in any way. If you ever got hurt, I wouldn't be able to face myself. I'm just glad you're okay now. Asuna smiled with a noticeable blush. Yeah, I'm okay. Well, I was thinking we could spend the rest of this day doing whatever you want. Asuna stopped, and her jaw had dropped as far as it could. She was quite shocked, and surprised that Naruto had been the one to ask her to hang out. Just to make sure she wasn't hearing things, Asuna decided to ask Naruto for reassurance. What was that, Naruto? I said, do you want to spend the rest of the day together? Just thought it'd be a good way to make up for what I had done. Asuna's face was full-on scarlet when she was reminded of that certain incident. She had actually forgotten about it when she was in the middle of being harassed and assaulted. It's fine, just make sure not to do it again, Asuna said sternly as she put up an angry expression. She looks really cute like that. Naruto thought dreamily. After shaking his head clear of those thoughts, he motioned for her to follow him. Wondering where he was planning on going and doing, she decided to follow him. There was an uncomfortable silence until Naruto stopped 7 to 10 minutes after they had left. We're here, Naruto said. Asuna looked around and saw nothing but the usual trees and grass. Naruto, this is just a forest, Asuna deadpanned. True, but I wanted to show you an amazing place around this area, Naruto said as he started to walk wherever he was planning on walking. Asuna followed him but was still doubtful about where he was taking her. When they came upon a cavern, Naruto went inside after stopping for a short second. Of course, Asuna followed her blonde friend into this probably big and vast cave. It was exactly that, but it was not just any cave. There was a special area within the cave that had an amazing sight to it. It was dark for one, but that made it even more breathtaking with the glowing crystals, walls, and ceilings. Now, even dungeons could be considered fascinating, but this was way beyond that. So much, that not even the author of a fanfiction story about a video game with beautiful sights to see could describe it in words. Asuna was completely taken aback by the beauty of it all. Wow! Naruto, this is incredible! How did you find this place? Asuna asked. Well, I was in the middle of finding dungeons to grind in, when I came upon another possible location. While I did find the dungeon, I also managed to find this rare site. I'm not sure that many people have actually been here. Naruto and Asuna were quite close. After a long silence, Asuna had accidentally bumped into Naruto. Oh, I'm sorry, Asuna apologized while playing with her hair. No, it's fine, Naruto replied, adjusting his coat a bit. Not a second later, they began to stare at each other, like any other cliché romantic story. As they got closer to each other, both were interrupted due to the sound of monsters around spawning all around them. Both of them gave each other a smile before equipping their weapons and preparing to some dungeon grinding. Asuna and Naruto were currently resting on a wall somewhere deep within the dungeon they were slaying monsters in. Well, I definitely wasn't expecting to level up in this dungeon. Naruto shouted happily. Just what level are you? Asuna asked in complete shock. I was at level 33, but now I am at level 34. How about you, Asuna? Me? Well, right now I am level 21. I'm pretty much halfway through with my experience until I reach the next level, Asuna replied. Wow, that's pretty good. More importantly, how were you able to reach such a high level in such short time? Well, maybe it's because I spend hours and hours grinding. Sometimes I don't even go to sleep until the next afternoon. No way. That's just going overboard, Naruto-kun. What if something happened to you? Asuna asked in a concerned tone. It's okay. At my level, I would do just fine on my own. Besides, if I have you with me, there is nothing to worry about. Naruto assured her. Still, you should try taking more breaks. Better yet, we'll take one right now. Hi, Haim-sama. One is enough. Also, don't call me Haim. It's extremely annoying. Asuna complained. Hi, Asuna-sama. Humph, do what you will. Asuna said as she stormed off ahead to go wherever she was planning to go. Chuckling quietly to himself, Naruto followed Asuna out of the dungeon. Naruto and Asuna were now walking through a different town. As they passed by some of the players active in fighting to get to the next floor, they noticed everyone talking about some rare monster. Apparently, it was some sort of super boss. Some have managed to get a good look at it while they watched others bravely take it on. It looked to be a gorilla type of monster with 4 muscly arms, 2 legs, and horns. It was also well armored, and was very strong at that. It had metal armor covering all of its body, and also had 2 swords, 1 axe, and a spear in one hand. It was on a completely different level. Interesting. Naruto thought, excited for his chance at defeating this monster. While Naruto had a savage grin on his face, Asuna just pinched the bridge of her nose, sighing. Great, we haven't even taken a break for 10 minutes, and he's already fired up. Asuna thought disappointingly. What do you think? Naruto suddenly asked. About what? Asuna asked in return, hoping it wasn't about what the certain topic everyone was talking about. About this so-called gorilla monster mini-boss? It's gotta be a challenge. So, I am going after it. Are you kidding me? What about us spending time together? I mean, what about your break? Asuna turned away from Naruto, crossing her arms. He doesn't even care about me in the least. Asuna thought, feeling hurt that Naruto didn't want to spend time with her. Don't worry. Of course I know that I need to take breaks every now and then. Thanks for always making sure I am doing okay, it means a lot. This time, she was able to control her blushing, but couldn't help smiling. Okay. So, where do you want to go, Naruto-kun? How about we get something to eat? I am starving. Asuna giggled at how goofy Naruto is at times. That's a part of Naruto she liked a lot. She just wished that he would pay more attention to her than he has been. Naruto and Asuna, after walking around trying to find a place to eat, finally found a fancy-looking restaurant. As expected, there were a lot of players here at this time. After they strolled into the eating place, they were surprised by both the delectable smell and remarkable design of the entire restaurant. Wow, this sure is one heck of an eatery, Naruto praised as he and Asuna gawked at the dazzling place. Asuna was too dumbfounded to even say anything about what she saw in front of her. Noticing that they both were just standing there, and that they were getting odd stares from everyone, Naruto pulled Asuna to a table. After they were done eating their breakfast, Naruto got up and stretched. Well, that sure was a great time. I guess I'll see you later, Asuna, Naruto said. However, he stopped in his tracks as he felt a sudden tremor within himself. Nah, are you too? Asuna growled in a quiet rage. Oh shit, Naruto thought in complete fear. Not wanting to anger Asuna any further, He was by her side once again in a flash. So, what else would you like to do? Naruto asked with a forced smile. How nice of you to want to spend time with me, Asuna said as she clapped her hands together, as if she wasn't seething with rage just moments ago. Just like in pretty much most romantic movies or stories, a montage of the two lovers' precious moments together. Things like walking around town, looking up at the sky, getting to know one another, playing around every now and then, telling bad jokes. The list goes on. Naruto and Asuna had spent the rest of the morning and afternoon with one another. Now, everyone could witness the beautiful twilight that was even more amazing in-game than the outside world, shining throughout the whole floor. Naruto and Asuna were sitting on a hill that had a marvelous view of a majority of the luscious fields that surrounded the town. Naruto-kun, Asuna said, breaking the relaxing silence that had taken place for a while. HM? Naruto acknowledged in response. What was life like for you outside the game? At the sudden question, Naruto just kept staring at the sky above. His indifferent expression soon took a nostalgic, sorrowful expression. However, that soon changed as he gave a small smile, coupled with a light chuckle. I had a lot of people that I cherished back in the real world. Of course, life wasn't easy for me either, but I eventually got through thanks to my sensei. What was their name? His name was Iraka Yumino, and he was the first person to believe in me. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. Same goes for everyone else that I have met along the way. You must miss them all. There was an ephemeral silence, until Naruto decided to get the topic off of him. So, what about you? Naruto asked. Well, before all of this, I was living with my mother, father, and my brother. He waited in line just to get his hands on this game. My brother would have been trapped in this game, had not been for the sudden business trip he needed to take care of. Hence why I am the one trying out Sword Art Online for myself, Asuna explained in a monotone voice. I see. What about your parents? Wanting to avoid talking about her parents, Asuna frowned at Naruto's question. My parents are very strict with me. I rarely get to hang with my friends, and even if I do, it's not for very long. I'm not allowed to play games like these. I don't even get to date anyone, let alone pick my future fiancé. My parents couldn't be any more controlling. Sometimes, I just want to run away and never turn back. Naruto's blonde bangs shadowed over his face, and he was dead silent when he heard about how Asuna talked about her parents. He remembered how much his parents cared for him, and when they sacrificed themselves just to save him. Asuna, you shouldn't talk about your parents that way, Naruto said quietly. Asuna turned to face Naruto, and had a confused expression. What? Do you know how lucky you are to have been able to live your whole life with your parents? To be able to go to sleep, knowing that you're not alone, and waking up the next morning being able to see them breathing. I know they probably weren't the best when it comes to letting you live life, but they only want what is best for you. At first, Asuna was irked that Naruto was talking down to her like this, but as he kept talking, she started to get curious. What were your parents like, Naruto-kun? Closing his eyes slowly, Naruto took a deep breath, and opened his eyes once more. My mom and dad both died the day I was born. Asuna's eyes widened instantly at what Naruto had just told her. My whole life, I never knew who they were, and what they even looked like. Well, that was until recently, Naruto said as he sat up and stretched a bit. What do you mean? Realizing that he was revealing too much information, Naruto attempted to steer the conversation to a different direction. Asuna, I won't tell you how to live your life, but I will tell you this. Cherish your parents, no matter what happens. For they care for you more than you think. Asuna didn't say anything back, thinking about what he said over and over. Naruto, I promise from now on, you won't be alone. I will always be there for you when you need me. Just as you have been there for me all this time, Asuna said, not realizing what she was saying until a few seconds after. It's not like that. I just meant that if you ever needed someone to talk to Asuna was stopped short of finishing her pathetic lies, and was met with Naruto's hands wrapped around her. Asuna was flustered at Naruto's actions, but kept her composure. Thank you, Asuna. It means a lot that you would say that. I'm glad I got to meet you, Naruto whispered. Asuna's heart fluttered at what Naruto had said. She was so happy that she couldn't help but smile. Me too, she whispered back, returning the hug wholeheartedly. The following morning. It was early in the morning. It was definitely a beautiful and breathtaking morning. Nothing like slaying monsters that are trying to kill you, and the unmistakable sound of painful screams in the morning. Then, there's the Naruto Uzumaki, and Asuna Yuki sleeping under a tree. Well, Asuna was still asleep, while Naruto was guarding her sleeping avatar. Naruto was currently meditating on his next actions, and honing his chakra skill as well. Truth be told, he woke up much earlier, and was lucky enough to find monsters lurking about the area. So, he took care of them immediately. However, wanting more action, experience, and call, Naruto carried Asuna's body to a different location. Time and time again, he would continue this process. I am so close to level 34. Come on! Naruto thought eagerly. After more hours of inhumane grinding, Naruto was so exhausted it sounded like he was choking the way he was breathing. Now, he was just sitting cross-legged, waiting for Asuna to get up. He would have left to go find that rare monster everyone was talking about, but he wanted to make sure that Asuna was safe. Even after she wakes up, he was planning on walking with her to a safe zone. After that, he would sneak away, and go find this rare foe. Eventually, Asuna made sounds that signaled her waking process. She sneezed before she sat up and was looking around a bit dazed from her well-needed rest. She saw Naruto looking at her with, in her opinion, an undeniably cute expression on his face. Wiping the drool off her face, that was in fact a result from her sleeping, she stood up. Were you waiting there the whole time, in order to make sure I was safe? Asuna asked. Indeed I was, Naruto replied with a big smile. Surprisingly, Asuna did not blush like she usually would, but instead put a hand to her chest. Even if she wasn't blushing, she definitely was extremely joyous that Naruto had made sure that she was safe. Ah, how nice of you to protect me like that, Naruto-kun. Asuna teased. Well, it was nothing I couldn't handle. I just wanted to be sure was all, Naruto replied flustered. Did you do anything indecent to me while I was sleeping? Asuna asked. Well, Naruto began, but hesitated after the thought of what she would say. Asuna was in shock at the mere thought of Naruto proving that he couldn't be trusted. Don't tell me that you actually… What? No, I didn't do anything inappropriate. I just what, Naruto-kun? Asuna asked, hoping that she wasn't going to get a certain reply. I saw that there were monsters roaming about this area, and some even went as far as to try and attack us. Not wanting to take a chance, I picked you up and took off to a safe location, multiple times, Naruto admitted. You fought all of them, didn't you? Asuna asked in a I already know the answer tone. Well, that depends on how you define fought. Naruto replied. You know what? Forget it, let's just go get something to eat. You will follow me, right? Asuna asked in a threatening tone. Hi! Naruto responded as if he was talking to Yamato's creepy, stalker side. Good, Asuna said, her mood completely changing. Naruto and Asuna were, once again, eating in another restaurant. Naruto, even though he was reluctant, couldn't help but be glad that he came and ate something. He was eating food ravenously non-stop. The NPCs couldn't keep up with him, as he was like a walking vacuum. Everyone was just staring at Naruto eat. One player was holding his spoon halfway towards his mouth, just sitting there in utter disbelief. Where is all that going? One of them asked. Well, technically speaking, he isn't actually putting things into his stomach. Yeah, but still, the whole table is stacked with plates. Asuna was no exception to the reactions. She didn't even get to her food, as she was just staring at her dear crush, inhaling the food faster than she could kill floor 1 monsters. Ah, that's better, Naruto said, as he let out a sigh. He finally stopped eating. Whoa! Everyone was exclaiming in surprise, as if someone had just done the impossible. Now we can F. However, they were cut off as Naruto ordered a bit more food and drinks. Everyone face-faulted at what just happened. What? One player actually threw up everything he was eating, due to the fact that he couldn't even handle watching someone eat that much food. Naruto-kun? Asuna whispered to her blonde friend. What is it? Naruto asked, completely oblivious to what was happening around him. I think you're causing a scene. Naruto looked around him and noticed people just staring at him with their mouths open. He thought he saw someone's puke, but he just passed it off as soup. Which, passing of bits of food and green stomach acid, is a bit concerning. Well, shall we go? Asuna nodded, and followed Naruto out of the place. What surprised Naruto was when Asuna suggested that they go grind together. I just thought that today, we could spend time doing things both of us don't mind doing. Besides, I need to get stronger as well, so I am able to protect you, Asuna reasoned. Well, if that's the case, then follow me. I know a good place to level up at. 45 minutes later, Asuna had just finished off another tree troll. Wow, Asuna, I have to say I am quite impressed at how capable you are. Well, my only goal is to be able to protect you. I want to make sure that we both get out of this death game, and I hope we can meet in the real world. Naruto visibly flinched at what Asuna had just told him. No! The sage never told me anything about what would happen after I defeated this game. What do I do? Naruto thought in panic mode. Hey Naruto-kun, you okay? Asuna asked a bit concerned. Oh, I'm fine, just really excited is all. Asuna had a suspicious expression on her face, but ultimately just decided to let it go. As they were walking, they noticed another player that was taking on a couple of tree trolls himself. This should be interesting to watch. Naruto thought as he and Asuna both stood nearby to watch. After defeating the two trolls, the boy sheathed his sword, and noticed Naruto and Asuna walk up to him. However, when Naruto had seen the player's face, he immediately stopped dead in his tracks. It was also the same situation for the said boy, who was also staring, taken aback by the sudden appearance of Naruto Uzumaki. Hey, it's you from back in town! Asuna exclaimed. Well, I never thought we would meet so soon. Kirito. Naruto, do you know who he is? Asuna asked. Yeah, you could say without meeting him, I probably wouldn't be here as I am right now. He's an expert at this game, and took part in the beta test, Naruto said with a smirk. Kirito kept a straight face. I hear people prefer the term beater now. I guess it's all thanks to that player who soloed the first floor boss, Kirito added. Naruto had a feeling Kirito was testing him. Yeah, it seems whoever did that sure made a name for themselves. Anyway, it has been a while. How is everything? Same old, same old. Just doing my part and pitching in some effort to get us out of this. I am surprised, I didn't know you were a go-getter. Better yet, go-getter, if you know what I mean. Naruto just sighed in annoyance, as Asuna had a surprised expression before she caught on. She was about to tell Kirito it wasn't like that, but she never got the chance as she was interrupted. So, what are you planning on doing now? Naruto asked, subconsciously taking a step forward. Well, I'm just grinding as usual, but I will be helping out with the front lines. Hey, maybe you and Asuna finished. Asuna could join me later today. Should I do it? Oh well, even if Kirito knew it was me, I doubt it would have major effects. Why not? Naruto thought. Sure, what time are we meeting and where? We'll be meeting at 16:30 p.m. at the outskirts of the town of Krieg. You do know where that is, right? Kirito asked with another sly grin. Of course. See you there. Naruto said a bit ticked off, but kept his cool. Asuna just stared at Naruto as he was leaving in amusement, while Kirito chuckled lightly. Asuna turned to catch up to Naruto, not bothering to respond to Kirito's chuckle, which was followed by a knowing expression. I guess I should be rooting for you, Naruto. When Asuna had caught up to Naruto, she noticed that he only nodded in response to her presence. While Asuna was confused as to why he was being distant and unresponsive, she couldn't help but think that he had a rivalry of some sort with Kirito. Naruto was headed toward the same town that Kirito mentioned, Krieg itself, to stock up on items like potions and such. All in preparation for the upcoming group event he and Asuna would be a part of. Naruto, is something the matter? You've been quiet ever since we left Kirito, Asuna asked, worried over Naruto's behavior. They both had finally arrived at the front of the entrance to Krieg. Krieg was an interesting town. At almost every corner there was a merchant that sold armor, items, weapons, information, and much more. Those were just the merchants. Players could enter the traditional shops as well, where they sold everything that a merchant did, and more, but in larger quantities. Another aspect was the town itself. Most of the buildings were mossy cobblestone, and all the pathways were plain old stone, which was intended for Aincrad as a whole. All of the floors were medieval themed. All of the NPCs included bulky men, slim men, bulky women, and slim women. You could even consider them to be descendants of Vikings, or Viking themselves. Basically, it looked like a place intentionally built for war. Places to sleep are out of the question. You can sleep on the ground, or outside shops. It was truly a savage town. Exaggeration or not, the number of places to settle down were minute, or extremely small. To put it in a different perspective, 60% was used for the purpose of selling and buying, 10% was places for people to hang out, duel, etc. The remaining 30% was intended for resting. We need to stock up on supplies for the raid, Naruto explained shortly. Asuna didn't feel at all relieved of her puzzled state of mind. What I meant was, why are you solemn all of a sudden? Naruto stopped in the middle of his walk towards another merchant. Whenever I see Kirito, I am reminded of my first few days of playing this game. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, it's like the beginning of your friendship, right? Naruto gave no response to Asuna's question. Instead, he motioned for her to follow him, which she did. Now, they are both at a secluded area in town, where they could talk in private. Naruto wanted to keep attention away from himself, noting that he was a topic people constantly talked about. Asuna was sitting beside Naruto on a random bench, away from anyone's immediate line of sight. Naruto was staring at the ground deep in thought. Asuna was just looking at him, hoping for some kind of response, or explanation. While I do consider him my friend, his very presence reminds me of life outside this game. Remember when I told you about my sensei? Asuna nodded. You said that he was the first person to believe in you. Naruto closed his eyes. There were others that eventually I had established bonds with. However, 3 have passed on in my life, Naruto thought sadly. I don't like to think about it, but it felt so short. So much could have happened. Asuna had once again felt that she was missing something. What are you saying? Naruto just stood up from where he was sitting, not wanting to answer her question on a painful subject. Let's go, Naruto said. Asuna just looked at Naruto's back that was gradually getting smaller and smaller with a distant faraway look. What's wrong? It is now 12:30 in the afternoon. Naruto and Asuna are busy doing some grinding. Usually, it was Naruto that took the lead and dominated the enemies. However, this time, it was Asuna who had taken that role and was focusing on honing her skills. She also wanted to clear her mind of anything at the moment. After the somewhat one-sided conversation with Naruto, she felt as if he didn't trust her. She didn't know what it was, but whenever the conversation got to a certain point, he would bring up something completely different. It's as if there is something he doesn't want to talk about. Asuna thought, irritated, and finished a fire cheetah with fury. I was backing her up, which could be compared to watching her with curiosity. Anyone can tell from the way she is moving that something is bothering her. Her attacks give off the impression that she is angry about something, I thought. Once the area was cleared of any more monsters, I decided that it was best if I clear up the tension that I unintentionally brought forth. Walking up to Asuna, I put a hand on her shoulder, bringing her out of her thoughts. You want to get something to eat? I'm sure an hour of grinding should suffice. Besides, it looks like something is bothering you, I said, unequipping my kunai, and leading the way to someplace we could get some food. Asuna just stood there with a perplexed look. Was it that obvious? She thought. Asuna decided to take the lead and find a place where both of us could eat. She was looking around town, and was having a hard time choosing. She wanted to choose a place she would enjoy, but not a place she'd end up leaving. Whenever she asked me if I'd like to go to a certain place, I immediately responded with it looks a bit crowded, or it's too busy right now. Which brings the both of us to our current situation. I wonder why he doesn't want to eat at any of the places I suggested. Asuna thought, slightly self-conscious. Naruto's POV. For the past 10 minutes, Naruto was seriously paranoid. Whenever Asuna suggested a place to eat, he immediately rejected her suggestion. He knew sooner or later she would question him, and next time, it'd be verbal instead of mental. From someone else's point of view, Naruto could look like he was doing a lot of things. He was either shaking his head from left to right enough to give him several whiplashes, rocking out to a song he has stuck in his head. Lastly, and probably the most logical, he was looking at all the packed restaurants on his left and right. How are all of them filled with so many people? Why aren't any of the restaurants even close to a normal size of customers? Naruto thought, hysterically baffled. Some would wonder why Naruto was so concerned about the amount of people eating at a restaurant. Such a trivial matter taken so seriously. When in reality, it worried Naruto quite a bit. Flashback to yesterday evening. Naruto was preparing to head out to grind in hopes of finally reaching level 35. On his way out of the safe zone, he couldn't help but overhear two players talking about something with quite the excitement in their voices. "You're kidding me. Do you think anyone would actually believe that?" One of the players said, the sound of his unconvinced voice in a hushed whisper. "I swear! This is the same guy. You have to believe me." The two players were huddled behind some random building. Naruto was eavesdropping in on their conversation, leaning on a wall by the post exterior closest to the players. The player just scoffed. "So you're saying, the guy you saw saving a girl way above your league, was the same guy who took out the boss by himself? First of all, she's way above your league. Second, the proper term is solo. Last but not least, yes, it's the guy," said an average height boy. "Even if this was the guy, how would you be able to confirm it, huh? So I am the guy now?" Naruto thought with an annoyed expression. Easy. It's not too hard to get some descriptions on someone everyone is talking about. At least not in this case. I know some people who were partying with other players for the boss raid. They said that he had blonde hair, blue eyes, whisker marks. "Wait, did you just say whisker marks?" asked the other player that stood well over 6 feet. "I know, it's odd enough that he could accomplish what he has so far. Well, no wonder this sounds so hard to believe. Can you actually take a guy with whisker marks seriously?" Haha. Naruto's eyebrow twitched at this, and he felt a slight urge to go over there and give both of them something to really laugh at. But wait! There's more! Based off his recent heroic act, people are saying they saw him wearing a white haori with red flames on it. By some sort of coincidental bad luck, Naruto began to lose his balance when he was leaning forward, really listening in on the conversation. That totally makes up for the whisker marks. Hold on, this guy sounds easy to find, but when have you actually seen him personally? Naruto had finally given in, and tripped on nothing. With his superb agility, he managed to flip into a steady stance, but the look on both of their faces were priceless. Naruto chuckled quite nervously. Hey there. Thanks to his slip-up, Naruto ended up having to knock out both of them. Flashback end. To-kun! Ruto-kun! Naruto-kun! Asuna's voice gradually became clearer by the second. Naruto shook his head. Huh, you were spacing out. I was starting to wonder if you were ignoring me on purpose. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you. What's up with you anyway? It seems as if you've lost your appetite or something. Naruto's stomach just happened to have grumbled in response. Asuna just smiled knowingly, while Naruto chuckled embarrassed. Come on, enough trying to avoid places. Let's just eat. What? How'd you know? It's not hard to tell. I hear about it too. You're not the only one who is having second thoughts about eating with this many people out. Naruto just stared at Asuna with amazement. This whole time she knew. Well, I guess my obvious attempts were not subtle at all. Naruto and Asuna had seated themselves, hoping not to draw attention. What a hopeful wish that was. Everyone, every single person, was staring at Naruto and Asuna with complete disbelief. Naruto had his head down in hopes of concealing at least his face. He instantly regretted coming to a public place such as this. Isn't that? I don't know, anyone could have blonde hair, someone else said in a matter-of-fact tone, while staring at their blonde friend, which caused them to narrow their eyes. Yeah, and here I am with 3 whiskers on each cheek, and a coat with red flames. Sounds like your everyday blonde to me, another blonde said sarcastically. I knew you and I would agree. Don't you ever get sarcasm, you idiot? Naruto, there's no point in hiding if you were already spotted. You're just prolonging the inevitable. Naruto slowly lifted his head up just enough so only his eyes could be seen. Okay, this is good. I'm making progress, just lift my head slowly, and there will be no problems. Once Naruto's head was completely upright, there was a deafening silence. Then, oh my gosh! Wow! It's really him! There it is! The unmistakable sound of everyone's mind-blown voices as they constantly talk about the guy. Wow, he's actually pretty good looking. I actually have to agree with you. As most of the girls were talking about Naruto's looks, Asuna was beginning to get ticked off. She didn't know why, but she felt something she hadn't felt before when those girls talked about Naruto that way. Naruto was looking around at everyone, and was going to put his head down once again. The drinks he and Asuna had ordered finally arrived as he was putting his head down. He was stopped. Naruto? Naruto turned his attention to Asuna, who had called his name. What is it? I asked quietly in response, taking a sip of my drink. I just wanted to know, have you ever had a girlfriend before? I was in the middle of drinking my water as I didn't quite hear what Asuna had just said. Once what she said finally registered, I choked on my water, bringing more attention to myself. I was coughing non-stop. Once I settled down, I just wanted to make sure I heard Asuna right. What did you ask? Have you ever had a girlfriend before? Asuna asked once again with her eyes avoiding my stare. The uneasy expression clearly on her face. I stared at Asuna with wide eyes. I cleared my throat, hoping to feel less awkward at the moment. No, I have never had one. In fact, most girls wouldn't find me to be the romantic type. I wonder why. Asuna's POV. Flashbacks Naruto's dense moments. Asuna had just asked him why she couldn't find him this morning. Sorry, I was busy grinding. Did you need something? Asuna! Naruto shouted rather excitedly. Yes, Naruto-kun? Asuna asked, hopeful that he wanted to spend at least some time with her. Look at this rare drop I found from a dungeon that I also suddenly found today. Asuna just had a feeling of huge disappointment, like a promise that has yet to not constantly be pushed aside, and actually kept. What do you think? Naruto asked. About what? Asuna asked rather nervously in reply. About this so-called gorilla monster mini-boss? It's gotta be a challenge. So, I am going after it. Flashback end. Naruto's POV. Although, now that I think about it, I get the feeling that there was someone that told me something, or more like confessed. Asuna was fearing the worst when she had heard those words. Because I love you, Naruto-kun. Wait, there was someone who once told me something. Who was it? Well, for starters her name was Hina. Naruto had suddenly stopped talking. Naruto-kun? Hinata. Naruto was suddenly reminded of everything back in the elemental nations. How could I have forgotten them? Naruto thought with a now guilty conscience. In his mind, he pictured all his friends standing there, with smiles on their faces. Everyone was calling out to him. It was truly a nostalgic sight. Suddenly, everyone disappeared, and there stood a silhouette of someone he felt he recognized. Naruto! Naruto thought he heard a voice in his head that sounded all too familiar. Why'd you let me die? You killed me. Naruto was paralyzed, as his face was showing nothing but horror. Sasuke? Naruto thought. The guilt and sadness was beginning to win the emotional tug-of-war with his more positive emotions. Naruto's Shippuden Obito's death theme. You forgot all about us. Guess you don't need us anymore. You're a liar, Naruto. Sasuke. Wait. Naruto, it's all your fault. Sakura-chan. I thought you wanted to bring Sasuke back, not kill him. Wait, you don't understand. Those who break the rules are trash. Naruto was completely silent, as he heard his former sensei speak Obito's words. But those who abandon their comrades are even worse than trash. That's right. I abandoned them. I completely forgot about my precious bonds. I am nothing but dash. Naruto Shippuden Obito's death theme end. Naruto! Asuna almost shouted, trying to get his attention. Naruto was awoken from his depressing thoughts, and he now was more aware of his surroundings. He lifted his head to look at Asuna's more than worried expression. His eyes held nothing but extreme guilt and terror, like a soldier returning home from war with post-traumatic stress. Everyone was silently watching the scene uncomfortably, as they all felt out of place. Naruto, something is clearly bothering you. What is it? Talk to me. Everyone was still dead silent, but some began to whisper here and there. Asuna didn't care, she kept her eyes on Naruto, wanting to know what was causing such behavior out of him. Naruto didn't move at all, until he pushed his chair out, and ran out of the building. Asuna, without a second thought, ran after Naruto. Once she was outside, she had no idea where Naruto had gone off to. Something is definitely wrong with Naruto. Naruto was sprinting without the intention to stop. He had no clue where he was even headed, but he didn't care. All he wanted to do was just get away from everyone. Those who abandon their comrades are trash. Naruto gritted his teeth, and just kept on commanding his 2 feet to keep on moving. What happened to me? I used to be someone who never abandons anyone, especially my friends and family. It started to rain as Naruto was constantly running wherever he could go. People watched him when he was running, and couldn't help but start to talk about what everyone always talks about. Naruto completely ignored them, and time seemed to slow down as each raindrop fell slow enough for the eye to see clearly, and all you could hear was the slow resounding of each drop. Naruto's Shippuden OST loneliness. Naruto was still running, time was still seemingly slow, and now he was crying uncontrollably. Time finally returned to normal, as Naruto's footsteps continued to make splashing sounds, along with the only other apparent sound of countless raindrops falling. Naruto turned a corner, and even noticed the upcoming dead end. However, he didn't care enough to do anything about his current path, and just ran right into the wall. He fell onto his back, and had his eyes closed with tears streaming out of the corners of his eyes. Then, he opened his eyes slowly, and just stared at the gray, crying sky with empty, lifeless eyes. My dream is to surpass all the previous Hokage. What Hokage? I never go back on my word, that's my ninja way. What ninja way? I'll never let my comrades die. Niji's gone, Sasuke's gone, everyone's gone. Thunder crashed loudly, and Naruto just stayed in the same position he was in after he fell. He felt worthless after being reminded of the past life he had forgotten. After taking some time to sit up, Naruto was staring down at his reflection on a puddle of water. The rain drops causing multiple ripples, distorting the image of his reflection. Naruto began to get angry at himself, and started to punch the ground. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Naruto constantly shouted in rage as he continuously punched the brick stone beneath his feet. Who am I to feel sorry for myself? My comrades sacrificed their lives for me. Everyone. I shouldn't even be here. Naruto yelled with one last punch, his body slouching. He stopped, because he felt a familiar presence behind him. Naruto's Shippuden OST loneliness end. Asuna's POV. Where did he go? Asuna thought worriedly. She bolted from the restaurant in hopes of finding Naruto. As she was checking around the whole town, she still couldn't find a lead. It got worse, as it started to rain, but that didn't faze her at all. Instead, she looked on with even more determination. Where are you? She was walking towards another alley, when she heard a few people start to talk about some blonde kid in a coat running. Excuse me, but did you see where he went? Asuna asked, interrupting their gossiping. They all pointed to their right, which was the same direction Asuna was walking, so she ran full speed, constantly asking people left and right if they have seen him. She felt as if she was getting closer to Naruto, when she heard the sound of someone yelling and fists making contact with the ground. That has got to be him. Asuna thought urgently. She made her way towards the sounds, which were beginning to get louder as she ran. She came upon another alleyway, when she saw a dead end, and near the end was Naruto slouched on the ground. He knew Asuna was standing behind him, but he didn't feel like being bothered by her right now. Naruto, Asuna began. He made no response, and just sat there unmoving. Naruto, what's going on? You haven't been yourself today. Naruto turned around to face her, and he heard her gasp when she saw his face. She began to walk forward, and he braced himself for a slap to the face, when all she did was wrap her arms around him. Naruto's eyes widened, and was speechless at what Asuna did. You don't have to hold back in front of me, just let it out. With that, Naruto was getting teary-eyed, which turned into him completely bawling his eyes out. Asuna was smiling, and was glad that Naruto had finally released what he was holding up inside. 8 minutes later, 1:45 p.m. Asuna was still holding Naruto, even after he had stopped sobbing a minute ago. Now they were met with silence, until Naruto broke that silence. Asuna, Naruto said, surprising Asuna, as she didn't expect him to speak so soon. What is it? Thank you, Naruto said with much gratitude. Naruto had wrapped his arms around Asuna, returning the comforting hug. Asuna smiled at his action, and was truly touched by his actions. I'm always here, Naruto. After a short while, they separated from each other. Naruto had his arms at his side, and his face covered by his bangs. Naruto, you don't have to tell me, but whenever you're ready, just know that I will be there to listen. Naruto just nodded, glad that Asuna was not pressing that matter any further. Good, now are you sure you're comfortable going on the raid? Yes, I am fine. There's no need to worry, I am glad that you stayed by my side. Asuna gave a heartwarming smile. Naruto stood up, and stretched his muscles for no apparent reason. He turned and looked at Asuna with a small smile. Let's go, he said quietly. Right. Casual Prairie Field 2:30 p.m. Naruto's POV. Naruto was surrounded by 3 storm wolves, but he didn't even bother taking out, or using any weapons at the moment. All 3 wolves charged at him at the same time from his front. One took the lead and attempted to chew his head off, but he merely lifted his palm and pushed it towards the 2 wolves behind it by its neck, and with the support of its velocity and his body weight, all 3 crashed and fell. After getting up, they all snarled at him, trying to be intimidating to their prey. One charged forward in hopes of tearing him apart, but Naruto just sidestepped to his left. Another was coming for him, now from his left, and sidestepped to his right, turning his body left. The storm wolf's salivated teeth snapped on air, missing its target completely. The last one came in as soon as Naruto finished sidestepping, as if it was all a part of their plan. He just side-flipped to his right, the top of his head just centimeters away from the wolf's back. Naruto continued to dodge without attacking. Even if he didn't use chakra, he was still amazingly agile, quick, and had quite the dexterity for someone his age. At least for normal players and human beings. This is probably the only time he won't constantly pump out some amounts of chakra to constantly increase his reserves. For example, if he was taking a stroll through a forest, he'd be focusing some chakra to his limbs, torso, pretty much his entire body. He wasn't the best at chakra control, but now that he's been working on it daily, he's come a long way. Now, he was not on the same level as a Hyuga, but he was better than he has ever been at sending his chakra to certain areas of his body. Asuna was also quite busy. She was focused on staying alive and slaying the wolves, as opposed to a certain blonde. Naruto, why aren't you attacking? Asuna asked as she finished off a second one. Well, I think we should take it easy before we head out. I'm also working more on my defense right now. Okay, but just be careful. Now there were 6 wolves after Naruto. Naruto kept on dodging no matter how many wolves were coming after him. 7, 8, and now 9 wolves were after him. Asuna had finished the last one, but also took notice of Naruto's situation. Naruto-kun, I think you should start attacking now. Naruto ducked, sidestepped, slid right, ducked again, jumped up, flipped once, twice, and 3 times consecutively in midair. The wolves left no room for breathing, but Naruto was taking the situation very lightly. To him, it was as if he were drinking a cup of tea, and relaxing. 4 wolves charged for him at the same time, while 2 others waited for him to dodge. I don't think these wolves are dumb. Naruto jumped up and did a backflip of about 35 feet, creating some distance between him and the wolves. They all growled viciously, before one by one, each had started to howl. Naruto looked up in anticipation, while Asuna had a look of fear on her face. You idiot! Don't you know what that means? Asuna asked him in a very loud, scared voice. It means the more the merrier, Naruto said with a hysterical voice. Asuna's jaw dropped at this. You're kidding, right? Out from the trees in the distance came a number of storm wolves. About 20 wolves showed up, which brought the total number to be 29 in all. Every single one had a low growl, before the last came out. This wolf towered over the others, and had 2 bars above its head. Naruto, please tell me you have a plan. Asuna, come on. I'm not that crazy, Asuna sighed in relief. Okay, so what do we do? Naruto didn't bother responding, but just stormed towards the huge pack. Now we can see him continuing to completely rely on dodging. It's as if the fact that there are much more of them didn't leave him uncertain, or doubtful. These were the lowest level monsters on this floor, but against a large number of them is nothing to be casual about. By the look of things, most would assume that the shinobi was attempting to show off. It was more along the lines of stuck in the past due to a sudden nostalgia. Around the time when he was level 31, whenever he would go out to get some experience and call, memories of his fights back in the day just pop up out of nowhere in the middle of his fights. So to take his mind off of things, he would grind for hours afterwards, trying to gain some peace. In time, after many sessions of training, the memories stopped coming. So whenever he did venture dungeons and such, he was able to focus completely on defeating the game, and saving the lives he could. He only needed to stop thinking about Konoha whenever he was focused on fighting. Other than that, he'd recall things without any problems, but not all the time. Naruto was becoming attached to Asuna, which was also a cause for his sudden change. She would always be there to keep him from thinking too much. Her very presence reminded him that he needed to live, and that he still had something he must do. His top priority was to do everything he can to increase the chances of defeating this death game, and to make sure that Asuna was safe and happy. The 17-year-old shinobi was getting by just fine. He was finally ready to move on, and hopefully get closer to Asuna. That all changed when he met Kirito. Once Kirito's face was clear in his vision, Naruto's thoughts would lead to the beginning, and why he was here in the first place. It acted as a trigger for him to be able to experience his memories with more detail and emotion. He didn't want to worry Asuna, so all this time he was always trying to lighten up the atmosphere, and to be on the humorous side. Now, all he could think about was the fact that he had been forgetful of his comrades and family, which is why when he started spinning, dodging, flipping, he was unintentionally comparing battles. He wasn't even focused on what was in front of him, and more on, once again, the past. Naruto-kun! Asuna yelled, just barely bringing Naruto out of his trance. Taking notice of his surroundings, Naruto decided to quit messing around. As he was about to get torn to pieces by the crazed wolves after him, he used one wolf as a surface to jump off of, resulting in his lucky escape. The group of savage animals just collided into one another, and fell to the ground. Looks like I got carried away, Naruto mused to himself as he reached into his pouch, and threw 10 shuriken towards the recovering beasts with both of his hands. Each one had hit its target at least in the skull area. It was enough to cause them to shatter, while the lucky ones had barely a quarter of health left. Then, Naruto equipped a kunai, and sped forward with blinding speed. Using rapid bite 3 times, an upward slash after a high-speed dash towards the target, Naruto took out 2 to 3 wolves. After that, he performed Mirage Fang, which was intended for only one foe, but he changed it up. The skill consisted of 6 diagonal zigzag strikes, but Naruto broke it up into 1 zigzag strike on each, giving him 6 one-hit kills. While Naruto getting in one-shots was a bit much, he was level 34, and all these storm wolves were that he would continue to use this skill on the rest, and now there was only 10 wolves left. Time to finish this, Naruto thought calmly. He activated a sword skill, where he performed a horizontal slash with his kunai intended for taking out multiple enemies at once. A lot of power is concentrated into this one shot, and is very deadly when the user has a high agility skill. A fast, but powerful one-hit attack that drives through multiple enemies. This skill doesn't come without a cost. The amount of mana points it takes is very high, and has a 30-second cooldown. Wait, I'm sure there was one more, Naruto thought, turning around to see teeth. On instinct, Naruto started to do a back handspring, but halfway through, he used his legs to kick its chin. He managed to knock off more than half its health. The alpha fell on its back, but rolled onto its 4 legs. Now, it was really pissed, and was ready to annihilate Naruto. However, Naruto had already appeared in front of the wolf, and as soon as it looked up, he had already completely severed its head with his glowing kunai. Afterwards, both the head and body bursted into blue polygons. The casual prairie was now nothing short of quiet and peaceful. Unequipping his kunai, Naruto turned to see Asuna standing in front of him with her arms crossed. Asuna seemed to be struggling between astonishment and frustration at Naruto's drawn-out battle. "Take it easy, huh?" Asuna asked with narrowed eyes. Naruto just chuckled nervously at how hypocritical he felt after what he just did. "Naruto, it's only 2:50, so we have some time to rest." "Hi him." Naruto stopped talking when he saw Asuna give him a look that said, "I dare you to finish." "Right, Asuna." Naruto and Asuna were now lying beside each other under one of those singled-out trees in the middle of the field. Asuna was surprisingly comfortable laying on her side, enjoying the view of artificial nature, while Naruto had his hands behind his head, lying flat on the ground, staring up at the leaves of the tree branches. A breeze blew past him, causing his hair to sway to the right from his point of view. As he gazed at the sight of all the falling leaves, one leaf had happened to land on his headband, right on the Konoha leaf symbol. Without moving his fixated stare, Naruto lifted his right hand to pick up the leaf. It was dark orange in color, like the leaves in autumn. This had reminded Naruto of the will of fire. Closing his eyes, Naruto loosened his grip on the leaf, and it drifted with the wind, to join the rest. Town of Krieg, 4:10 p.m. Asuna's POV. While I know he's still recovering, I can't help but think there's something he's not telling me still. Lately, he hasn't been the usual goofy person I've known him to be. I just hope everything will be alright. Asuna thought as she was walking beside Naruto to the meeting place. "Naruto, tell me again why we are heading there now?" I asked. Naruto turned his head to Asuna. "Asuna," Naruto said seriously. Asuna turned to look at him worriedly. "What is it, Naruto-kun?" He just continued to look at me without speaking a word, until he finally looked like he was going to say something. This made me think about what Naruto was about to tell her. His silence wasn't any more comforting. "That's a very good question," Naruto said loud and clear, placing his hand under his chin, while his face showed he was deep in thought. I was not expecting that response, and I just stood there staring at Naruto, and could literally feel my eyebrow twitching. "Don't worry, I just thought that we could use some time to prepare ourselves beforehand. I know we've already rested, but why not?" After hearing what he said, I smiled at Naruto's consideration and nodded. "Thank you, Naruto-kun." Naruto nodded back with a smile that made Asuna's cheeks redden. "HM? Asuna, are you okay? Your face is a little red." "I'm fine, everything's fine," Asuna replied, immediately turning to head to the meeting place. "Great, there I go acting like another girl with a huge crush again. I need to focus on getting stronger, so I can meet the real Naruto." Both of them were now headed for the meeting to find the boss room. Outskirts of Krieg, 4:25 p.m. Seems like almost everyone is here already. Though, I don't see any sign of Naruto's friend. I think his name was Kirito. I turned to Naruto, who was just closing his eyes, breathing lightly. That's when I realized he was actually asleep. "Oh, Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun," I kept on repeating, until he finally stirred in his peaceful, relaxing nap. Rasen Naruto was finally fully conscious of his surroundings. Only a few people had bothered paying attention to Naruto. "Are you okay?" asked Asuna. "Oh, is it time already?" Naruto asked, getting up and stretching a bit. "Yes, everyone is here, so I suggest we join them." "Okay, let's go." I walked towards the group, and all by himself on the wall was Kirito. He looked in our direction and waved at us. "Naruto, you're okay with talking to him, right?" He was already walking to Kirito's location, so I opted to do the same, of course. "I am, there's nothing to worry about," he replied with a thankful smile. Kirito walked up to us with a small smile on his face. "So, I see you guys managed to make it. When does it start?" "Right now." At that moment, everyone's attention was brought to a man who was standing on top of a table. "Hello everyone, my name is Shito. Before we begin the meeting, I'd like to first say thank you all that have decided to participate today. I know we've had trouble lately finding the boss room, and that we all have worked hard at doing so. Now we will continue, but we have a new side objective I'd like us all to keep in mind while we are out there." Everyone began to talk amongst each other regarding the objective. "What do you think it is?" a player asked. "It probably has something to do with that gorilla monster everyone has been talking about," another player responded. "You're exactly on point. Lately, Players from all around Floor 2 have come across this challenging beast, yet it still stands undefeated. Many fought bravely against it, and unfortunately, some lives have passed along the way. No way! That's crazy! Another player that was silently observing decided to speak up. Basically, you want us to keep in mind the goal of finding it, and defeating it if possible. Defeat it as a group. I have no doubt that many of you are skilled players, but we can't take any chances, and I am sure all of you want to live to see tomorrow. As Shito said that, he glanced at Naruto and Kirito, before returning his attention to the others. That was strange, thought Asuna. I'll now give a brief overview of our goals today. 1. Focus on leveling up and farming call in preparation for the boss battle. 2nd. Search for the boss room. 3rd. Be on the lookout for this mini-boss, and alert the others if you encounter it. Evidently, we'll all be in parties. Is there any questions? One girl had raised her hand. Yes? What happens when we manage to find the boss room? Are we going to charge in after all the battling we've done, or regroup to prepare for the raid? We won't have to worry about fighting it today, even if we locate it, since it's not wise at all. Yes, we will meet another day for the boss raid. Are there any other questions or concerns? Another teenage boy had raised his hand. What is it? When we do find the gorilla monster, what should be our signal? I was thinking something like, WOH. Or maybe something like, freedom. Ooh, maybe we should shout bananas so that it gets distra. Oh, you're so clever. Do you really think that'll work? Another player interrupted. Are you being sarcastic? Of course I am. Shito had cleared his throat in hopes of calming everyone down. Look, when we do encounter the monster, it won't be hard to let us know, now will it? Is there anything else anyone would like to bring up? No one had said anything, so now it was time to get ready to head out. Okay, we're going to have a 10-minute intermission. Let's do the best we can, he said, raising his fist in the air. Everyone clapped and cheered, more than ready. Yeah, alright. It's like déjà vu all over again. This reminds me of Floor 1, thought Asuna. Neither Naruto or Kirito had moved or talked to each other since Shito had begun speaking. Kirito was busy looking through his menu, occasionally taking out items, while Naruto just had his arms crossed in front of his chest, and just watching everyone interact with one another. Just then, one of the players from the meeting had walked up to us. You guys were here for the meeting, right? He asked curiously. Yes, we were invited. I hope it's no trouble, I replied, knowing that Naruto wouldn't say anything. Well, I've seen him at the meetings, but this is the first time I'm seeing you guys. It's nice to meet you. My name is Jace. My name is Asuna. Naruto said with a straight face. Kirito also said with a straight face. You guys sure are quiet. I'm not familiar with Kirito, but I know that Naruto has seen better days. Don't worry, he isn't always like this, I explained with a nervous chuckle. I see, but what about you? I've noticed that you haven't exactly been partying with, or talking to anyone in the past, so I just assumed you were antisocial, or something. Naruto brought his hand to his mouth, attempting to stifle a laugh it would seem. Jace turned to look at Naruto with a raised eyebrow, while Kirito's eyebrow twitched. I felt as if those two would start fighting any second now. Hey Jace, Kirito started to say, while Naruto was still smiling. What's up? Asked Jace. Have you ever had to teach a beginner how to play this game? I was paying attention to Kirito and Jace, but I didn't miss Naruto's expression changing from humorous to a complete frown. Jace smiled at Kirito's question. Of course, I've given a few tips here and there. Why the sudden question? I don't remember who it was, but at the Town of Beginnings, I happened to catch this player completely embarrassing himself in front of everyone. I mean, this guy had no idea what he was doing. Naruto looked at Kirito with a displeased expression. Kirito. A mental breakdown is a phrase I would use to describe what was happening at the time, Kirito continued without any sign of stopping. Kirito, you didn't know what a VMORP was, couldn't comprehend his user interface. Heck, his knowledge on technology wasn't exactly with today's time. So, I decided to help him out, since I didn't want to leave the poor guy to his downfall. Listen here, you better. I just can't remember what his name was. Wait a second, Naruto? Wasn't it you? I'm pretty sure the guy had blonde hair, whisker marks. Wait, it was you! Everyone's a beginner, but it sounds like Naruto was a very unique beginner, thought a completely surprised Asuna. Hey, at least I don't make things awkward for myself every time I actually socialize with people. Oh really, Naruto-san? You even said it yourself. If it weren't for me, you probably wouldn't be Ali. Okay guys, let's all just get along. We shouldn't fight with each other, we're all on the same side, aren't we? Jace interrupted. Right, agreed Naruto. Kirito nodded instead of saying something in reply. I'm glad that's over. I couldn't take any more of the bickering. You guys should come meet the rest of the group. I'm sure we'd all like to get to know each other, Jace said rather eagerly. Before Naruto or Kirito could even hesitate, I instantly responded. Of course. Both of the said teens had grown, while I was forced to drag them both by their arms. Hey guys, we have 2 new faces joining us today. Everyone had turned to look at us, and I couldn't help but just wave in response. Welcome! A player shouted without thinking it over at all. Good for you guys. You came to the right place. One after another, everyone had gave Naruto, even Kirito, and I a warm welcome. A girl that was exactly 5 feet tall, with dark waist-length hair and blue eyes, introduced herself. Hello, my name is Hiyori. It's nice to meet you, Naruto-san, Asuna-chan, Kirito-san. It's nice to meet you too, I responded kindly. Likewise, Naruto replied. It's nice to meet you, said Kirito. Naruto, Kirito, and I were getting acquainted with everybody. It was surprising to see Naruto and Kirito actually want to talk to everyone, and not stand off to the side all by themselves. Hey, you guys been hearing everyone talk about that player that is supposedly leagues above the rest of us? Jace asked out of nowhere. Yeah, they say he had also saved a girl from getting her innocence taken away by a bunch of lecherous perverts, Hiyori said, her voice sounding mad when she had mentioned lecherous and perverts. Naruto is being talked about everywhere. I just hope they don't find out it's him anytime soon, Asuna thought, a bit fearful of having to avoid the whole server. I've also been trying to find this guy. I didn't think it was true at first, so I didn't bother asking around for his appearances. Besides, most people have only heard of his actions, and haven't actually been there to witness it for themselves. If it's true though, I just hope this guy isn't on the bad side, said Kirito, with a look on his face that I've seen on many who've been stuck on a test problem. Naruto was completely quiet, probably hoping that he didn't have to participate in this particular conversation. Naruto, what do you think? Jace asked without warning. I think it's just an exaggeration. Do you guys really think that someone would be able to do all that? It all sounds like something out of a daydream to me, Naruto reasoned. Kirito narrowed his eyes suspiciously. You were quick to say that it wasn't true, Naruto. Perhaps you know something we don't? Everyone looked at him expectantly, and Naruto probably wasn't getting any more comfortable with his current predicament. Okay everyone, time's up. I hope you're all in parties, and are prepared for today. We may or may not complete our objective today, but we will try our best, right? Yeah! Everyone shouted with determination in unison. Naruto let out a sigh of relief. Well, what do you guys say to the 5 of us partying? Sounds good to me, agreed Jace. Why not? Hiyori shrugged, accepting the invite. I'm always with you, Naruto-kun, Asuna said warmly. You'll need my help out there, Naruto-san, Kirito said. Naruto's whole body was shaking in frustration at Kirito's statement. You really should try something other than comedy, Kirito. Your jokes are just too serious, Naruto said, leaving, not waiting around for Kirito's reply. Kirito's POV. Kirito was staring at Naruto's back rather suspiciously. So, blonde hair, a white Hiyori with flames on it, blue eyes, and whisker marks. I didn't want to believe it, but it would seem I'd been looking for you the whole time, Naruto. The group was making their way through a sunshine-blocking forest on a dirt path. Flashback after meeting at town of Krieg. Making their way out of the town, the players were heading west. That's where many have encountered the mini-boss. It's also the only possible place the boss room could be in. The north, south, and east quadrants of the floor have been thoroughly checked out. Floor 3 was just a boss away. Consisting of 5 parties, the assembled players each had their responsibility. Group A, the forward group, is the main offense. These are the players that focus on head-on attacks. 7 players were in the group. Groups B, C, and D, the battlefield controllers, maintain order within their formation. If a monster happens to storm out of nowhere, it is their job to take care of it. Finally, Group E, the defensive group. Probably the next important group right beside the forward group. Their main job is to make sure no attacks from monsters occur behind them, within 180-degree radius of about 40 to 60 yards. Group E consisted of 5 players: Naruto, Kirito, Asuna, Jace, and Hiyori. Now they have departed for the West Quadrant. Flashback end. Forest Path West Quadrant 5:10 p.m. Naruto's party were right behind the battlefield controllers. With the sun setting, everyone would have to make haste. Rumor has it, the mini-boss is notorious for slaying players at night. So, Jace and Hiyori, you guys will be acting as backups for the 3 of us. If you think you see an opening, go for it. Your guys' job is to keep this party together. Naruto, Asuna, and I will be the main attack against any threats from behind. Got it? Jace nodded. Right, Hiyori responded. Kirito turned to Naruto and Asuna. So we'll be the wall between the battlefield controllers and any threats. Be it player or monster, got it? Naruto raised his hand to interrupt. Kirito was about to give him an opportunity to answer if it was not for the fact that Naruto pointed at Kirito. Why are you the leader? Asuna smacked her forehead with her palm, while Hiyori chuckled. Kirito stopped walking. If we were to follow your lead, what would you suggest we do? I'm open for anything that works. Naruto's expression showed that of realization kicking in, and crossed his arms. Never mind, so we're the offense, right? Kirito nodded. Then, the whole front line stopped moving. Okay everyone. This is where it gets started. Soon the sun will be down, and nightfall will hit, Shito announced. Just up ahead was the forest that could possibly lead to the boss dungeon. Let's go! On either side of where the group of players stand, were flat fields of grass coupled with swaying flowers. Fodder monsters were lurking around, but were not within range that begins their attacking process. 10 minutes later /Sword Art Online OSD Swordland / Switch. Kirito shouted. Roger! Naruto responded as he eliminated a storm wolf with a vertical sword skill. Once they were in the forest, packs of storm wolves swarmed in from all around like a typhoon. Jace was a mace user, and Hiyori was a one-handed sword user. Ha! Jace shouted, charging a storm wolf that was about to cross the defensive line. He managed to take one out with a swing from his right straight to the skull. A bone-crushing experience for the mace user. Hiyori was no pushover. If her skill could be compared, she'd be Kirito's equal. She waited for a storm wolf that was approaching her, until the very last 3 seconds. Once the wolf was 7 feet away, she performed a triple sword skill, draining it of all its health. Picture a group completely surrounded by storm wolves. Now add the rest of the mobs on floor 2. This is bad. There are super cobras, fire cheetahs, and tree trolls incoming. A player part of the battlefield controller screamed. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Basically, they managed to clear most of the storm wolves. However, more monsters came in the same formation of a whirlpool. OSD switch Keisei Gyakuten Naruto OSD. Ikuzo, thought an eager Naruto. While Asuna had just finished off a fire cheetah, she noticed a bunch of blue polygons rising one by one. Naruto was down on one knee, with a line of monsters taken out in one shot with good oil taijutsu. Asuna's eyes landed on his back, her eyes glowing as he looked exactly like how he had described his father. Just then, his body faded away and the next thing she knew, 4 fire cheetahs surrounding her also disappeared. Unbelievable. Everyone was watching Naruto completely solo every single mob. Then, they knew exactly who he was. It's him, Jace whispered in awe. Kirito's eyes widened in horror. Could he be? Naruto looked around. Well? What are you staring at? Hurry and defeat them. Everyone snapped out of their dazes, and with new determination, continued to battle for survival. RA8. Naruto was standing in front of packs of storm wolf alphas, super cobras, tree trolls, everything. Taking out 10 shuriken he threw them, eliminating 10. Then, taking out his kunai, he jumped right in the middle of all the monsters so quickly. He performed a new dagger skill called Circular Bisector. He takes his dagger or sword, and performs a circular slashing motion that extends outwards. More mana means a farther extension, and it cuts everything in half within that range of attack. Asuna decided to step her game up. She took her rapier out and performed the linear sword skill. She did this several times with many storm wolves, super cobras, fire cheetahs. Wow, they're really something else. Jace complimented in awe. Am I good enough yet? He thought, looking down. Just then, many monsters were surrounding him. Strengthening his will, he took on a fierce expression. I am not giving up just yet. He activated a mace sword skill that crushes the ground, creating a shockwave, and is an instant kill for any monster that is below a tree roll level. Range works the same way as Naruto's. A plethora of blue shards rose up into the sky like futuristic fireflies. Jace failed to notice the tree trolls that were closing in on him. This is bad. Jace panicked mentally. Asuna came in from the left, and Hiyori came in from the right. Ha! Fortunately, the tree trolls were eliminated. Jace threw them a wave. Yo! Asuna waved, while Hiyori winked. Damn it, Kirito! That was mine! Naruto yelled out. Oh yeah! Well, take this, Mr. Famous. Kirito responded haughtily. He took out another tree troll. Heh! Fine. As Kirito was about to take out another tree troll, Naruto cut it in half. Oi, get your own! Naruto just stuck his tongue out. Most were watching with sweat drops. Are they really fighting at a time like this? Shito took a step forward. Naruto Uzumaki. Everyone looked at him expectantly. What? He's the guy? They call him the Yellow Flash for some reason. I finally understand. That group is the key to our survival. One of them grabbed hold of Shito's collar. Are you kidding me? Naruto Ostkase Gyakuten end. Everyone stood in a group away from Naruto, Asuna, with Jace and Hiyori off to the side. This triggered something inside Naruto. Monster! Hokage? What a joke! Isn't he? Flashback to Konoha no Sato, Hidden Leaf Village, Naruto Episode 1. Naruto OST Sadness and Sorrow. On the day of graduation, everyone had passed. Everyone but a single boy. Naruto Uzumaki had failed the academy graduation exam to become a genin. Everyone was celebrating, and life was good in their perspective. What about Naruto's? Sitting on the swing hanging from the tree, Naruto was ashamed and embarrassed. He had yet to become a shinobi. I'm a real ninja now, right? One of the graduates asked. Chuckling proudly, a parent congratulated his son on passing the exam. Congratulations on graduating. Mom is going to fix you something nice tonight. Two women stood staring disgusted at the sight of Naruto. Hey, that kid is the kid. He was the only one who failed, one of them said rather hatefully. Serves him right. If he becomes a ninja, it's only going to cause trouble. Because he's really a... Hey, it's forbidden to say anything more than that. Why? Naruto thought depressed as he covered his eyes with his goggles. What an anomaly that kid is. Just take the title of shinobi away from him, and he's just a monster. Flashback end, Naruto OST continues Sadness and Sorrow. Everyone suddenly saw Naruto's past. No one knew how, but they did. Asuna was completely saddened. Was that Naruto? Kirito asked while staring at the ground in disbelief. I thought he was just some player looking to ruin everyone's lives, one of the players admitted. Asuna's tears trailed as she spun around. You idiots! Don't you know what you are doing? You're making him experience the same thing. Everyone had guilty expressions on their faces. Naruto, Kirito said, more guilty than the rest. All of their gazes landed on an empty space in front of them. He's gone. Jace mumbled. Running away from the group, and slaying every mob he could, was Naruto Uzumaki. The past is the past. I have overcome it. So why? Why was I suddenly feeling like I did 5 years ago? Grumble. Naruto landed on a tree. No way. Kid, someone had to teach those fools a life lesson, Shikaka stated. Naruto's mindscape. Gaara's bijou. Your name was... It's Shikaka. I've already told you that before. So how are you here? How should I know? You are my container after all. Wait, where's that disgusting fox? Naruto stared at the sewer floor beneath him. He's gone, as well as the rest of the bijou. Shikaku just stared Naruto for a moment. Naruto snapped, That's right. I must have reached level 35. Haha, he said. A threat is on the way. You ready? Shikaku asked, raising a fist. Naruto, for once, was not feeling totally homesick. A part of it was actually with him right now. Ikuzo Databeo. Raising his fist slowly, Naruto's fist met the One-Tail's fist. Once this happened, binary code was erupting from the space between Naruto's and Shikaku's. All of the ones and zeros warped into a sphere that was sandy in color. It rose above the tag team, and Naruto rose his hand while a stream from the sphere was approaching his palm. Once this happened, Naruto's stats rose exponentially, and he also gained a new skill, which is due to him unlocking a bijou. So instead of at level 40, he unlocked a skill at level 35. Jungle Forest 8 p.m. We have to go after him, it's the only way, Shido declared. Kirito rose his hand to stop everyone. That was not real. Asuna was beginning to get angry at Naruto's friend. What are you talking about? Jace asked. Kirito crossed his arms. Ask yourself, can any of you show each other the past of one another? Everyone's eyes grew wide in realization of Kirito's point. But that is just... Kirito interrupted Jace. Also, look at the setting of the memory. Does that look like a place where someone is hooked up to a nerve gear? I didn't see one single street light, let alone a car or asphalt roads. Asuna was slowly making her way toward Kirito. Another thing, who is the creator of this game? Kirito asked. No way, Hiyori said. Kirito turned to her. That's right. That was a plan set up by Kaiba to probably lure us in with our emotions. Listen. No, you listen. I don't know what you're thinking, but you better shut up right now. I do not know who you think you are. But I've had it with you. You're not his friend, you're just jealous of him. Kirito kept a calm expression the whole time. And? Slap. What do you mean and? I was right, you're no friend of his, if anything you are a big roar. Everyone turned to see that behind some bushes and trees were two pairs of furry hands. Then, out came the same exact monster that everyone needed to take care of. Everyone cowered in fear. No! I don't want to die yet, one of them said. We're not going to die, you idiot. We have people here that can actually play fair, and is not sitting behind their supercomputer killing people. Then, goes into the game as their own invincible avatar. Asuna's rage began to climb to higher levels. Shito charged to the front. Everyone, let us survive. Raya! 5 minutes later. Can this thing even be beat? Hiyori asked. Everyone's health has gone past the halfway point. That is with exception to Kirito, Hiyori, Jace, and Asuna. There's just no way. Jace shouted in rage, slamming his mace down, causing it to shatter into blue polygons. As it took slow steps and swung down its sword, Kirito parried, but got hit by the axe slightly due to his reaction time. It jumped up and was getting ready to release a ground shockwave. Everyone! Move! As it came down, there was a slight sound of puffs being heard. What is that sound? Asuna asked. Then, the gorilla came down and blasted the whole area to bits. However, that's not exactly what happened. Everyone were taking cover when they noticed Naruto standing in front of them. You guys need a hand? The player just nodded, more relieved to not die than to care about who Naruto really is. Everyone was in awe the moment they saw 1,000 Narutos standing everywhere. Whoa! Naruto closed his eyes as he cupped his palm. The sound the Rasengan makes as it finally completed. I'll end this in one move. Every one of the 1,000 clones rushed forward. Rasen Cho Terengan. Chapter end. So this part ends here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so quickly like this video. And comment down below your thoughts about this series. Also share this story with your friends, and now it's time for me to go, bye.